Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Jono, the eternal optimist, and how you doing? How's everybody going? I can't believe it's Sunday already. Where did my weekend go? It's already over. Well, not quite over yet. We still got a few more hours left in the weekend for me. How's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome. Let's get those traditionals out the way. So, starting off with the greetings. Hello, Ryan's YouTube channel, General Stalkers, Ludwig, Diamond Heart, Leo, welcome. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Let me just quickly catch up on all the messages. Ever heard of 1-1 heroin before? No, I've not. Hi, Ludwig, my birthday's in 3 more days. All right, yes, happy birthday in advance. I'll probably say it again on Thursday then. Just remind me on Thursday. Yes, we meet again. All right. Oh, are you turning? Oh, you've been waiting for this moment all of your life. Well, I hope you have a fantastic birthday. But yeah, let's see here. Yep, everything. Okay, I'm caught up. It's the final countdown. Hopefully that's bad enough that I won't get a copyright hit for it. I mean, I would take that as a compliment. If my acapella was good enough to get a copyright strike, then yeah, worth it. We have a national holiday tomorrow, so we've extended the weekend. Oh, that's not fair. Well, I have one on Wednesday, so I get a holiday in the middle of the week. So I get 2 work days, a holiday, and then 2 more work days, and then the weekend. So, well, I hope you enjoy your nice long holiday. No, man, welcome. Yeah, we have a holiday on Wednesday. Yeah. All right, so let's see here. Yes, we are going to be finishing off the Eternals tonight. We're not going to start a new story next week Sunday because next week Sunday is my spooky night because unfortunately Halloween is in the middle of the week. Actually, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah. I won't be able to do a stream on Halloween itself. Maybe, but anyway, next week Sunday we're gonna do a horror. We'll do like some kind of special horror thing. I'll figure something out. I got a week. I can do something in a week, right? Anyway, let us continue with the story. Also, let me just quickly check here. Miku Farmer, welcome back. You got your cookies and chips to eat while watching this stream. Yeah, I'm hoping that we shall finish it off this evening. It feels like we're really close because we basically you guys voted to form a coup d'etat against our father, the Emperor Dearest, because he wants to take us to the island of necromancers right after he recovered his 5-year-long bout of sickness. So we all suspect that he wants to take over our body. So yeah, we decided to team up with Jacob and Mistress. Her name was Selma or Semla. I think it was Semla. Anyway, unfortunately, we have to merge our minds. So her and I have to merge. Her and I have to merge our minds. So yeah, and you guys voted to continue letting her probe into our brain. What could possibly go wrong? She's definitely not going to leave any subliminal messages. Oh no, Hector! Whoa, sorry, Hector. Welcome. Hi, number man. Let's hope you're all having a fine day. Yeah. Oh wait, no, not let's hope. Hope you're all having a fine day. Sorry, my brain saw the Lale and the L and the E and went let's. I hate lag. Is it lagging? Try go back like a second. That sometimes happens to me with YouTube. If it like lags on thingy, if I go back just a second behind live, it sometimes cleans up for me. How do you defeat the final boss in Lies of P? It was great. It's actually funny. What I thought was the final boss was actually the second to final boss. Yeah, the final boss was great. Funnily enough, I actually went and bought the game on Steam so I can play it on the controller. And I'm going to see if I can transfer my save game across so I can play New Game Plus on my own. I love that game. That game was honestly such a great surprise. I'm looking forward to New Games Plus. I want to continue. So hopefully I can move my save. Okay, so we got some spooky music playing, as you can see. And we will be using it because we're, well, basically going up against the final boss here. But yeah, Hector, glad you could join us. Let us finish this. So we decided to keep focused. In for a silver, in for a sack, as they say. If this spell is going to protect you from the Emperor, you best stick with it and worry about Semra's intentions later. Though at this point, you don't even feel any pain on your side of things. But maybe that's because you aren't trying to hide anything from her. Your life has more or less always been an open book. You've never really hidden anything because you've usually come clean eventually anyway. You're not even going to be hiding your desires to kill the Emperor pretty soon. If Semra is hoping to learn something to use against you, she's in for disappointment. She already knows most about your combat techniques, having taught most of them to you. She also knows your mindset well enough that she has more influence over you than you'd like. She is already well aware of your feelings towards her. There is quite literally nothing she is going to find out that won't give her any advantage that she doesn't already have. Yet you can still sense she still wants more. It's almost as if she has become insecure about not having total control over you. You sense a lot of that, actually. She can't comprehend why you can have a schmexy desire for her, yet not desire her in the way you did with Allison. She's at a loss on what to do about it. And that confusion is a big ball of anger, frustration, and pain. She's envious! She's upset because she can't have it. She's a child! My goodness, she's a freaking grown-up adult child. Suddenly, you see the image of a young Svelk girl. You aren't sure how old, but by human standards, she would definitely be considered a child. It's Semra, and she's holding the hand of an adult male Svelk, though you can never quite make out his face. Boop, yeah. Okay. They are both in the city, where a large crowd of Svelk are gathered, having a good time, throwing what looks to be Svelte babies against a nearby wall. What? Also, thank you, Jetski Sam. Is it the final chapter or not? We'll find out today. Yeah, thank you for your continued support, Jetski. I really appreciate it. Okay, so the Svelk are throwing their own babies against the wall. That is horrifying. Which has a big target on it. Semra looks very happy and cheers whenever one splats into a bloody mess in the center. That's up. It would seem that Semra's entertainment preferences didn't change much for her. Several images of her enjoying similar activities with the same adult male flood your mind. You could only guess that the adult male might be her father, but Semra must be blocking you from confirming that. In any case, the idea that she was once a child is bizarre, but then everyone starts as one at some point, right? She had a twisted childhood to be sure, but she had more of a childhood than you ever did. Just as you think you're starting to see more images of a personal nature, the contact is broken off, and Semra pushes you away. Nani throwing babies against the wall. What kind of hole? This is bleeped up. Yeah! Yeah, it's a pretty dark story. There, it's done. Let's get this over with, she remarks while rubbing the sides of her head. She also starts rubbing her eyes and is sniffling a bit. You're silent for a moment, just staring at her. You know that she must be hiding loads of whatever unhappy memories she does have, and she certainly can't have you seeing them. She can't trust you enough to believe you wouldn't mock her in some way or exploit her weakness. What? She shouts when she notices you staring. Nothing. Keep your secrets. Like you said, let's get this over with. As you make your way to the door to the Emperor's chambers, you do feel the connection of your mind to Semra's. It's not like you can read her thoughts, but it's a sixth sense kind of feeling. You're curious how this will play out during the battle. After speaking the password, the door opens and you both enter the Emperor's chambers. You look at each other, simultaneously cast your magic spell shields and spread out. Almost immediately, you hear the voice of the Emperor, though he hasn't made an appearance yet. So, it's come to this, has it? After all I've done for you, after all I've given you, you turn traitor for a piece of Svelk tail. The Emperor steps out from his bedroom. Son, I am disappointed. He's going for emotional damage, starting off with a crit. He says, and then just stares immediately in your direction. You feel a slight pain in your head, but it's muted. Semra's shielding spell must be working. The Emperor looks genuinely shocked. It's an expression you don't think you've ever seen before on him. You let this creature into your mind? Have you gone mad? Probably, you remark and cast a lightning blast at the Emperor, but he easily deflects it back at you, causing it to hit your force shield and knocking you to the floor. Semra casts a spray of acid, and while it sizzles and melts objects within the designated direction, the Emperor's own defenses absorb it. Realizing he can't just explode your brain, he casts a spell, which starts to turn the room very cold. You're reminded of the time you cast the spell on Cyrus's crew, and you immediately cast a ring of fire around yourself, in the hopes that the heat will be enough to keep you from freezing. You follow up with a volley of small fireballs, which set the many bookshelves in the room ablaze. You've made a dire mistake, my son, trusting this Svelk whore. Even if you could defeat me, do you really think she'd allow you to live? She's lying to you, son. She always has, and I thought you were stronger than that, the Emperor remarks as sheets of ice cover the room, extinguishing some of the flames. And you aren't lying to me? You had Allison murdered, and you planned to kill me as well, you shout back as you release your feet from the ice that has managed to encase around them. The Emperor sends a flash of lightning that blinds you and Semra. You stumble over to the left since you remember there being a solid stone table you can take cover behind. For the swarm! Emotional damage. If any of that was true, my son, what of it? I was your father, your master. Your life was mine to do with as I saw fit. Of course, none of it matters now. You've decided to stand against me, and now your life is most certainly mine to take. You hear the Emperor say, and then suddenly you hear loud lightning blasts, followed by a yelp to the sound to your far right. It must be Semra. Let me just change the song quick. I want something spooky. Hold up. Just a moment. I selected horror stuff. I didn't expect us to get straight into the final battle. Let me add in some battle music. Just a sec. The monster that lies within. That sounds good. Pop that in there. Is this it? Come on. Wow. Sorry, chat. I want this to be dramatic, so just give me a sec. Where is a good one? Mindhunter. That sounds like a good album. So I have a whole bunch of music that I have the license to, so I thought I could use it. No, that's like DNA stuff. Ah, come on. Okay, I'm just gonna throw in the generic fantasy one, and then hopefully a battle theme will pop in there. This song is called What Crazy Boobs? What the hell? I'm not even, no comment. Okay, here we go. No. Okay, we're just gonna continue with this then, because the album is... Okay, fine. I will do this. There we go. Hold up. It's just loading all the songs. Just a sec. You happy now? Okay. Dramatic music is dramatic. Okay. It must be Semra, but you're still half blind from the flash of light. Wrong playlist, Jono. I'm back. What did I miss? Nothing. We're fighting the Emperor. Must be Semra, but you're still half blind from that flash of light. Haha! Not as strong as we thought, hey, Semra. You always were overconfident, bitch. Won't be long before I break through your pathetic force shield. Your eyes clear up enough and you see Semra across the room, struggling to maintain her shield from the steady blast of lightning unleashed by the Emperor. Seeing that your trading magic isn't going to work, you put up your own shield and try to make your way over to the Emperor, just to butcher him. But the combination of your hampered eyesight and icy floor are enough to slow you down. Ever the warrior, aren't we, son? Here, play with these. The Emperor shouts and stops his attack on Semra, waves his hand, and suddenly 5 hovering undead figures appear. You cast an enchantment spell on your own sword and press forward to battle. Meanwhile, Semra has taken advantage of her second wind and cast a telekinesis spell, throwing a table directly into the Emperor. She follows us up with smacking him with several smaller objects. He falls to the floor and reestablishes his own magic shield. Keep up the pressure, Semra shouts. Sorry, just going back to... Yeah, some of these... My goodness. Okay, here we go. This one should be fine. You'd love to, but right now you're trying to destroy the undead creatures in front of you. While you've never faced such things before, you keep your cool and successfully cut down 3 of them. You fools know nothing of the power you face. Now face the true supremacy of a necromancer. The Emperor shouts and the entire room gets even colder. But this isn't even like the cold of ice or snow. This is something unnatural. You start to feel the tips of your fingers go numb and feel your energy starting to be drained. It's like when Cyrus touched you, but this is all around you. You nearly get your head cleaved off in by one of the wraiths as you start to feel dizzy. You dodge the attack and slash the thing in 2. The last one is taken down with a blast of fire from Semra, who you sense is feeling the effects of the Emperor's magic too. You stagger and prop yourself up on the burned lab desk. The Emperor stands only a few feet away, but he seems so far to you to do anything. You look over and see Semra staggers towards him, but collapses and begins screaming. You aren't sure what the Emperor's doing, but his eyes are glowing red. A scared little girl still crying about her lost birthright. That's all you are and all you ever will be. You Svelk think you know about pain and death, but you know nothing. I'll show you the true pain, and soon I'll show you a death and the endless torture that can come after it. Semra's confidence that the Emperor couldn't do anything to her mind because of her race has proven false. While he has not exploded her brain, you do sense he's creating some sort of waking nightmare in her mind. She's literally crying and begging for him to stop. She even looks over to you, reaching out with both hands, telling you she's sorry. She pleads with you to help her and that she needs your strength. You never thought you'd ever feel a slight tinge of sympathy for her. In any event, you're not exactly doing so well yourself. You aren't even sure if you could help Semra, even if you wanted to, given how weak you feel. Though your chances of making a lunging attack to kill the Emperor are equally as slim. Chat, we have our first poll! Okay, first poll of the evening. What do we do? We have a choice. We have to choose help Semra or attack the Emperor. Help Semra or attack Dad. Attack Father. There we go. Starting the poll. Countdown begins now. Okay. You guys have 30 seconds. This is the big one. Of course, the music goes all dramatic once we've had the countdown going, though. While you're reading, Jono, I'm doing my Emperor's voice. Nice. Help her now. What can Semra do? Help her now. What's her usefulness? As much as I hate it, we should help. Oh, goodness. For the swarm. Yeah. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're done. And the results are unanimous. 100% you guys want to help Semra. Personally, I would have just tried to go after Dad. But, I mean, chat has decided. So, help Semra. Save. Save. And then I refresh. Just a moment, I'm dragging it to the top. And then we swap. Boom. We have decided to help Semra. Under any other circumstance, you'd probably be rejoicing in Semra's misery. But on this, she is your ally, and as your ally, you're not going to leave her in the lurch. With your remaining strength, you stumble over to Semra, and then promptly collapse near her and grab her hand. This act causes the Emperor to laugh. Ha 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 ha! What would your beloved Allison say if she saw you rolling on the floor with your Svelk harlot? Let's ask her, the Emperor says, and then another ghost appears. It's Allison. I see that you've already forgotten me and found comfort in the arms of Semra. Now that you and her make your grab for power, why was I not worthy enough for your plans to kill the Emperor? Did you always feel that I was so weak and you ultimately held no respect for my skills? The undead parody of Allison remarks. No. I'm not seeing this, and even if I am, this isn't Allison. She wouldn't say such things. Away, spirit! I will not play your games, you shout. Now you dismiss me in death? I have returned, and you have no loving words? You do not even make the attempt? Is it the least you could do for your failure to save my life? Allison says, and she begins to utter an unearthly wail. It's horrible, and despite your best efforts, it's starting to demoralize you. A depression begins to set in, followed by guilt. You can't let it get to you, because you're too busy trying to shake Semra out of her own hell. Semra, concentrate! You're Semra Devasa, mistress of torture and pain. You are the scourge of the lesser born and one of the greatest examples of your superior race. You do not fear anything. You have no frailties, for such things are the attributes of the weak. You have my hand, you have my strength, You breathe in and exhale hard. You never thought you'd say this, but if it'll help, you have my love. Always and forever, you say. Sorry, just a... This last declaration causes her to snap out of the nightmare and look over to you. She breaks free of her nightmare. Meanwhile, the ghostly abomination of Allison shrieks even louder at your statement before completely dissipating. Apparently, your complete disregard of your true feelings for your late wife was enough to destroy it. Damn, we crushed the soul of our wife! You and Semra begin to recover from your ordeal and get up, but this is followed by a pair of you being hit by some sort of black ray. Semra tries to cast a spell, but she is still too weak. You look up at the Emperor, who is now standing over both of you, still hitting you with the black ray. He doesn't look young at all anymore. He doesn't even look like how he did when he was sick. He's nearly skeletal looking. It's obvious this battle has taken a toll on him, but it doesn't matter because he's still got more fight in him than either of you. Now look at the pair of you, on the floor, writhing like the maggots you truly are. You've set my plans back severely, but you will not stop me. The pair of you will supply me with enough energy to do what I need to do. Ah! You stab the Emperor in the foot with your dagger. Unfortunately, it doesn't distract or give you any breathing space, and instead kicks your hand away. He increases the intensity of the ray on you and Semra. Bastard! You think your pathetic weapons can stop me? I am Casimir of Mortis, Emperor, Necromancer, ruler of the... You're an asshole, Commissar, Jacob remarks, who is standing in the entryway of the chamber. Go, Jacob! And the shot from his flintlock breaches the chest of the Emperor, who watches it explode in a gout of blood before his eyes. He falls backwards to the floor, struggling to breathe. No! Not like this! Taken down by a fucking bean counter! The Emperor gasps and is coughing up blood. You get up as fast as you're able and retrieve your dagger from the floor and draw your sword to finish off the Emperor. Semra is still trying to gather her own strength. You stare down at the Emperor, who is already on his way to death, but intend to quicken that journey. You hold the sword to his throat and stare him in the eyes. Do it then. Finish me off. But know this, son. You will not get to enjoy your victory. You've won nothing. You don't even reply. You just press the sword through his throat, causing him to gurgle one last time and twitch slightly before he dies. It's over at last. At least you thought it was! No sooner had you turned around to check on your allies when Jacob and Semra shout at you to watch out. You turn around just in time to see the corpse of the Emperor lift up off of the ground, glowing a dark red color. His eyes are rolled up into his head, and his mouth drops open, and a deep voice emanates from it, even though it isn't moving.
The Emperor will die with me as well. All who dwell within it. This is my final curse for your treachery.
The corpse says, and it disintegrates before your eyes. A great rumbling starts, and parts of the ceiling start to collapse along the floor, starting to crack and break. You've got to be kidding me, you remark. Come on, we need to get out of here, Jacob exclaims. Jacob, Semra, and you immediately run out of the Emperor's chambers, trying to avoid the falling debris and big holes in the floor at the same time. Jacob manages to reach the stairs just in time for them to start crumbling. Come on, quickly, before you... Jacob, above you! You shout, but it's too late. Jacob is struck by a large piece of concrete, followed by an even bigger piece, which crushes him completely. No, Jacob, no! It also blocks off your only escape. Rip, Jacob! Shit. Damn it, you curse. Semra, you can move those large slabs of stone if I join my magic with yours, can't you? Not in my current drained state. I'm not fast enough even with your help, Semra remarks. Shields! We still got enough to do that, you say. We're going to have the entire palace and possibly even the whole city collapsing on our heads. Even if our magic was strong enough to deflect such massive weight, we still have the problem of being buried alive. We just suffocate instead of being crushed. The rumbles and the shakes continue to get worse and knock you and Semra to the floor. You both try to find a spot where the falling debris isn't life-threatening. Things are looking mighty bleak. I don't believe it, and here I was worrying about you betraying me, but instead I'm going to die from the stupid final curse. Don't be so sure. There's still time for me to betray you. Hi, welcome, Keyred. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, we're finishing the story. Jacob got Jacob came in last minute and shot the Emperor in the chest. Normally you wouldn't laugh, but in this hopeless situation you can't help but do so. Yeah, the Emperor's final curse is bringing the entire palace and city down. Semra and I are trying to escape without getting buried alive or crushed. Well, hurry up and do it. Well, hurry up then, because the rocks are going to get us both. This is a hell of a way to die. I almost would have rather had the Emperor kill me. At least there I would have had a certain honor in that. What honor? You were a traitor. He probably would have had your name stricken from all records, Semra says. Huh, well, yeah, at least it would have been better than being buried and crushed. Semra doesn't reply to that, but what she does instead is ask you a question. Since we don't have much time left, I have to ask you, did you mean it? Thanks to your mind merge, you already know that she's asking what she's asking with that question. You also know you can't lie to her because she'll sense that immediately. However, you also sense it doesn't matter if you do. Sure, why not? You say with a smile. Semra returns the smile and gives you a kiss on the cheek. No, you didn't, but maybe you will for this, she whispers in your ear. You give her a strange look when she says this. As she stands up, she pulls a ring out of a small bag and from around her waist and she puts it on. Hey, wait, what are you doing? You ask, and then suddenly you're struck with a paralysis from the ring. Then a strange purple field envelops you. You see everything going on, but are unable to do anything about it. A sizable rock even hits you, and you feel nothing. The field is protecting you? Mommy loves you, always and forever. Remember this, you hear Semra say before the sound becomes muted completely and your vision goes completely black. You're able to breathe normally, but you don't see how you can survive. You'd probably panic a lot more if a strong wave of sleep didn't suddenly take you. As the continuous falling rumble buries you, you sleep. You sleep for a very long time. Years pass. Ah! Okay, so we've been put into a time capsule? It looks like she's put us in stasis. Mommy, ayo. Yeah, our character, she practically raised us as a child warrior, like a super soldier. So our character has like mother issues with her because the Emperor is like, you're my son. And then my character's like, if the Emperor is my father, then that would make Mistress my mother? Yeah, I know. Yeah, Diamond. Yeah, she's kind of like the MCs. Also, Key, chat voted 100% to save Semra. That speaks volumes. All right. The mommy has my stomach turn. It's gross. Yeah, well, at least she's dead now. So there's that. She's not our actual mother. It's just our character has mother issues with her. Okay. Refresh. Oh, wait. Save. And refresh. Okay, we have no idea how much time has passed now. It's year question mark. What the hell is that thing? I don't know. It's about time we found something worthwhile in this old rubble though, because this whole expedition has been pretty pointless. Looks like some sort of weird magic spell. It also looks like something is inside. Guess we finally get to use this old dispel staff after all. Hey wait, we don't know what's in there. Shit, it's a body! Yeah, damn. I was hoping for it was treasure. You think he's dead? Well, he ain't moving, is he? Probably been here for who knows how long. But I gotta assume the shell preserved the corpse. Hey, check out that neat dagger he's got. Is that mithril? Shit, it is mithril. Hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You don't know what Calvin said. What Calvin? I'm taking this for myself. It's not like he's gonna know. And don't act like you don't know it. Never done it before. Wow, I'm shifting through like 7 different accents at once. Never mind, I'm gonna stop. I saw you pilfering some old ring in the debris back there. Sorry, because the author hasn't written which character is who, I don't know which character to use the accents for, so I'm just gonna stop. It's not that. I just don't have a good feeling about this. What you think isn't gonna just... What, you think he's just gonna wake up or something? Maybe. I mean, like a zombie? Sigh, you and your zombies. I swear you think we're going to unearth a tomb of undead horrors on every expedition. And all our years, have we ever encountered something remotely like that? You've read too many damn bad copper dreadfuls about necromancers. I don't know. I still say you should be careful. We've never found a body so intact before, let alone preserved in some magic shell. Maybe there was a reason for that? Maybe, but that's Calvin's job to figure out. Right now, I'm just getting my hands on this dagger. Ulk! You sit up immediately and thrust your dagger into the throat of your assailant. Blood gushes from the fatal wound, and you throw him to the side. Oh shit, oh shit, oh f***. You hear him, another attacker shout, and see him fumble with some sort of pistol, only to drop the weapon entirely before attempting to make his escape. He doesn't get that far. You stand up and blast him in the back with a lightning bolt. He screams and falls, making a few death twitches when his sizzling body hits the ground. You have no idea who these people were, but that scream was loud enough to attract more enemies if they're in the area, and judging by the large sound of footsteps coming in your direction, there are. You quickly scan your surroundings and see a few shovels, picks, and lanterns nearby, but no way out other than one entryway that the fried fellow on the ground was trying to run to. Lol, loser, it's modern day. What happened? What happened? Last thing you remember is Semra casting a spell on you, and you fell asleep as the palace was collapsing in on your heads. You don't even know how much time has passed. The two men that were hovering around you aren't dressed in the typical Empire style. They carry no weapons other than pistols, and those are different from the ones you've ever seen. The pistols are more complex looking. How much time has passed? Has the Empire fallen? What happened to everyone? Hell, at this point, you're even wondering what happened to Semra. As the sound of footsteps get even closer, you draw your sword out of its scabbard and prepare to fight. The group of men and women appear in the entryway. Some of them carry gunpowder weapons, but most of them are completely unarmed. Again, their style of dress isn't familiar. Stop! You point those weapons at me and I'll easily incinerate the lot of you. Don't believe me? Watch! You remark, and throw a small fireball on the ground nearby. It's enough to cause all of them to back off, and even a couple of them to run away. One of them demands to be let through so he can see exactly what's going on. The man that shoves his way through looks about in his 50s, with thinning hair and is dressed in a fancy suit. You've never seen this man before, but something about him looks vaguely familiar. When he sees you, he's more in awe than he is scared. In fact, he doesn't seem to care at all about the two dead men on the ground. I can't believe it. It's you! I mean, it's gotta be. The way you're dressed, the magic abilities, the location. I just can't. Suddenly, a higher female voice shouts from behind the crowd. Dad? What's going on? I've heard all this. By the gods, is that... Yes, Jennifer, it is. We've made the find of a lifetime. Quintus will be so pleased. The woman is on the younger side, with raven black hair, probably early 20s. Unlike her father, her clothes are covered in dirt and more practical in nature. You always notice she's carrying a pistol as well. Who the hell are you people? Were you sent to dig me up? What's happened to the Empire? Someone better explain what's going on, you demand. Forgive us. I'm sure this must all be very confusing for you, but we don't go on these digs to find living people, let alone someone like you. Wow, I can't believe it's you. I mean, you're the Eternal, right? I'm an Eternal, yes, but you still haven't answered, and I'm starting to get impatient, you exclaim. Okay. My name is Calvin Mole. I am the head of this archaeological dig for the Nayland Republic and Senator Quintus Aurelius in particular. This is my daughter Jennifer, Calvin began to say before you interrupt him. Wait, Mole? Are you related to Jacob? You ask because it would explain the very vague likeness. When you ask this question, both he and his daughter's eyes light up. Yes, he was one of my ancestors. Did you know him? I have so many questions. And your questions are going to have to wait, you said. You said Nayland Republic? What's that? The only Nayland I know is the province of the Empire. You also said Jacob was your ancestor. How much time has passed? At this point, Calvin and his daughter look a bit nervous at each other. Everyone else behind them who hasn't backed away entirely does so now. Well, take into consideration the age of these ruins and what we already know about when the cataclysm occurred, I'd say about 500, give or take a few years, Calvin remarks. Your heart almost skips a beat, and now you're the one in shock. The year is 535. 500 years, you slowly utter. You almost hesitate to ask. And the Empire? Calvin and Jennifer look a bit nervous again. It's, gone. Been gone for centuries. It never recovered from the unknown cataclysm that struck the land. Most of it was outright destroyed. By the time most of the pieces were picked up, those areas that weren't hit as hard had become their own nations, Calvin explains. This news causes you to sit down on a nearby stone. I caused this, you whisper to yourself. Jennifer and Calvin don't quite hear what you said, but Jennifer senses that you're more than a little troubled by this news and attempts to cheer you up. What my father should have said is that while the Emperor as you know it is gone, its spirit lives on in the Nayland Republic. Seriously, Nayland was probably the only portion of the Empire that managed to hold on to the few of its traditions and cultures during these dark ages. Even the language didn't change too much. That's probably why you can understand us so well, even if our accents and a few of our words are slightly different to yours. Damn, we are just buried treasure. Must have been a nice sleep. Oh yeah, you wake up. Ah, but Hector, what if you slept funny? You know, like on the side of his neck or his arm. Oh, 500 years will give you such a crick in the neck. This has no effect on your mood. You're at a complete loss of what to do. You were supposed to rule the Empire, but instead your actions were part of its destruction. You never wanted that to happen. Maybe you should have believed the Emperor, or at least just followed his orders. Who knows what might have happened? Maybe he would have killed you, or maybe he wouldn't have. But at least you wouldn't have been in a situation you are now. A man out of time, a relic of the past. You have no nation to rule or serve. You don't even have a home or a master anymore. What are you going to do with yourself? You have no idea. The only good thing about any of this is that you have a minor support base here. Jacob's descendants are obviously very taken with you. You've been only half listening to what they've been babbling about, but they keep mentioning that that they want you to return to the Nayland Republic with them, so you can meet this Quintus character that apparently is going to be glad to see you as well. It would seem that you are somewhat known in the few old writings they found about the Empire. Jennifer's brief descriptions of this Nayland Republic sounds at least like a good place to familiarize yourself with this new world, and you could always go with them, if only to get some bearings before you decide what to do next. Wait a minute. How long is this going to be? Oh my god. I thought we were near the end. Oh no. This might go on for a while. Okay, here we go. And I was getting so dramatic on my reading. Let's do it. Guys, he slept on the wrong side of the bed. Oof. Okay. You go to the Nayland Republic. You don't have much else to do at this point. You might as well go to Nayland. If you decide you don't like it there, you could always leave. Okay, I'll go with you. Just both of you stop going on about it. You will? That's wonderful. Hey, would you... Calvin, I told you to shut up already. You snap. Calvin shuts up and backs away. He starts telling his daughter that he has to stay here with most of the crew because there's still a lot of digging that needs to be done. But that he wants to hear... But he wants her to take you to Quintus right away. She nods and tells a few of the expedition crew to start loading up a few wagons to leave soon. Jennifer herself, on the other hand, starts walking alongside you and staring a lot. Shouldn't you be helping load up the wagons? You say, implying like you want her to leave you be. No, they got it. Hey, so how well did you know my ancestor? She asks, ignoring or oblivious to your wishes. Not as well as I thought, considering he never mentioned to have a family to me. Oh, I don't believe that he had one of his own, but from what I've seen of my father's family tree diagrams, Jacob had a couple of brothers that were just normal civil servants, record keepers, that sort of thing. Obviously they had families though, otherwise my father and I wouldn't be here. He never mentioned siblings? Nope, perhaps he wasn't on good terms with them. I don't know. I only interacted with him on things concerning important Empire business. He was pretty immersed in his own work most of the time. I suppose I can say he was a dedicated servant of the Empire. This remark makes Jennifer display a big grin. Ha! I knew it. We moles have always been patriots to our nations. Well, he definitely would do anything to save his nation. Unfortunately, that seems to have been all for naught, given that it no longer exists. So, why were you in that magic shell? Jennifer asks, changing her line of question. Why do you ask so many questions? Because we could never believe that we discovered a living person from the old Empire, yet here you are. I mean, we know about the Empire only from a few tattered, incomplete writings, or mostly oral stories. Now that we finally got someone who lived during those glorious times, someone who can give us the truth about what happened. I mean, the Cataclysm, for example. All anyone knows, it was a great disaster of a magical nature that occurred 5 centuries ago. Nobody really knows how or why it happened. You had to have been there for that. Do you know what happened? Oh, I have an idea, you say. And? Jennifer asks. And I'm not going to tell you, you remark. What? Jennifer exclaims in total belief. She's actually at a loss for words, but unfortunately not for too long. But why aren't you going to tell me? Don't take it personal. I'm not planning to tell anyone. It's very apparent that you folks want something from me, which I can provide. History, information, and the truth. If I just give all of that shit away, who's to say you won't just toss me aside and try to have me killed after you've milked me for it all? That wouldn't happen. How could you even think we'd do such a thing? How could I not think such a thing? Besides, I'm fairly certain you wouldn't want the real truth anyway. Of course we want the truth. No, I don't believe you do. Not really. I think you want to hear what you want to hear. You want the truth? Here's one for you. The Empire existed, and then it didn't. End of history lesson. This cynical comment causes Jennifer to again briefly shut up, which you hope will send her away, but she's not going to be deterred so easily. Look, I realize you're probably a little upset about your situation. I get that, but you don't need to take it out on me. I'm just saying you're living history, and more specifically, you're a very important part of my nation's past. You could fill in so many blanks. You're more than just some old magical weapon that we found in the dirt. You snort at that last statement. No, that's exactly what you found. An old magical weapon that was buried in the dirt. Not even buried, but sealed away. And like most old magical weapons found, sealed away and buried for centuries, sometimes the smartest thing you can do is leave them alone. You think of the dead bodies of the two of your crew would be a good example of that. Jennifer perceives your comment as a threat, as well she should. She makes no smart comments back and just shuts up like her father and continues to walk alongside you. Glad to see those moles have as much sense as their ancestor did. Eventually you make it out of the dig site and into the open air, and what you see before you is severely different from what you remember. Heyo, Samir, welcome Samir. How you doing? How are you? We're doing the reading of the story. I thought we were near the end, but apparently not. It's different from what you remember. Where you once knew of a great city once stood is now gone. Those explorers have uncovered a few pieces of it, but by and large, it's gone. Even the surrounding area where you once knew farmland and even lush fields would have been is gone. Everything has been replaced by sickly undergrowth, a wasteland. Jennifer remarks to everyone needing to keep an extra eye out for orc raiders. Jennifer looks over at you again briefly, but casts her eyes down and tries to get on with packing the front wagon. You shake your head and walk over to Jennifer. Look, Jennifer, is it? I apologize for my remarks earlier, but as you said, all of this is a shock to me. I've seen a lot during my time, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for this. I can only imagine. I guess overwhelming you with questions was inconsiderate of us. Well, I suppose your curiosity is natural, but let's just say I'm not quite ready to discuss everything, at least not yet. I understand. Your last memories of the Empire were during the Cataclysm, and you're only just now seeing the results. It must have been a terrible time. Yes, you could say that it was. Jennifer nods, and you help her with loading the last bags on the head wagon. Oh my gosh, are we gonna hook up with Jennifer? When you what if Mistress is still alive? When you step aboard it, you're on your way. For a while, there is silence between the pair of you as you ride through the wasteland, but you decide to be social and break the silence. Eternity has consumed my mortal body. I found myself in the unending utopian realm. Guys, help me out with this one. No, stay there. Eternal is a ruthless warrior trained by the Emperor from early childhood, though very questionable as methods. Yes. Basically, we were a child weapon super soldier for the Empire. So, orcs, huh? They're a threat? I would have thought they'd be extinct by now. There weren't many left in the Empire during my time, you say. Sadly, that is no longer the case. I imagine without the Empire around, they reverted back to their chaotic natures. They bred unchecked. Now they're all over the Quellen Badlands and everywhere else too. They probably were one of the few races to thrive during the Dark Ages. I'm not too worried about that happening to us today, now that we've got a powerful Eternal traveling with us. You shouldn't be too overconfident of that. Under the right circumstances, anyone, no matter how powerful they may appear, they can be brought down sometimes by the humblest of things. Still, I see the reputation of the Eternals has still survived. So are there any in Nalen? No, of course not. Before we found you, the last one died over 400 years ago. The first matriarch Brenda of the Nalen Dominion. Brenda became an empress? She was probably the main one responsible for keeping the fledgling remnants of the Empire together during the Cataclysm. Brenda! Oh, she survived. Remember, she was with us when her husband died in the parade. Glad to know someone was trying to uphold order. Good for her. Did you know her? Did you know her well? Not excessively, but we did have dealings on a few matters, like during the taming of the lands east of Nalen, for example. There was another major event too, but I care not to discuss it at this time. Understood. Well, anyway, that was back then. Things have changed a lot since our time, our government being just one of those things. But for all intents and purposes, she sort of laid out the foundations for the Nalen Republic by keeping the country safe in the first place. You're going to have to explain what the hell a republic is. Never heard of it before, you say, causing Jennifer to smile a bit. Well, nowadays, a single leader doesn't rule our government. It's run by a senate, which consists of a group of politicians that are chosen by the people. They ultimately decide on the laws and such by discussing and debating them. You are completely baffled by this concept. That sounds like an inefficient way of running things. How does anything get accomplished? Well, sometimes things do take time, but the citizens are a lot freer and happier by choosing their leaders. Now you're really lost. Why the hell would people want to be free and happy? They should just be grateful for the protection and order that the government provides for their miserable lives. One strong leader to rule over them with an iron fist is the only thing the citizens really need, and if they grumble too much, they get executed. Problem solved. Hell, it's not like slaves cost that much if they need an extra hand in the fields. Jennifer chuckles at your totalitarian views. Yes, I imagine that would be a bit strange to you. I'm sure it might also be a surprise to you that we don't have slavery anymore either. It's actually became less cost effective. Still, you'll see that it isn't all that bad. In fact, you probably get along with the Quintus. He's a very big admirer of the old Empire history and culture. He's the one been privately funding these expeditions, all these expeditions. Just as you're about to ask Jennifer who this Quintus is, you hear war cries and howling in the distance. It might have been 500 years, but you know the sound of orcs when you hear them. Not long after the general warning, you soon see them coming from the far left and the far right. They look every bit as big, mean, and green as you remember them. No heavy armor, but the giant boar creatures they're riding and the willingness to use bows on you. Jennifer orders everyone to ride faster and ready their firearms. While readying their firearms is a good idea, there's no way you're going to outpace the orcs at the speed you're going. The wagons just aren't fast enough and weighed down by the equipment. There are also enough orcs that some of them are going to reach you before they get shot off their pigs, and that's assuming everyone in this caravan is a crack shot that can hit them in the head. Meanwhile, you feel like you're sitting on a kobold of your own wagon. Part of you would rather get on one of the horses and unhook the wagon so you've got a little more maneuverability. Of course, you could just start flinging magic spells at the orcs. Okay, chat, we got a poll. What to do? Cast spells or ride horse? Ride horses. Ride horse. Start poll. We switch. And we start the countdown. I'm going to make it 20 seconds. There we go. Okay, Jono, I need to get going. Bye, Stalkers. Thanks for coming by. All right, another thing my insurance needs to cover. Problem solved. Oh my god, this is like bringing someone from the Civil War into the modern days. Exactly. So what was our relationship with Semra? Complicated. Yeah, we had very confused feelings for her, but we actually found true love in Allison, but and we got married to Allison, and Semra was pissed that we got married to her. Then Allison died because the Emperor set up the assassination. And then Semra sacrificed herself to save us. Okay. Ending poll. We are going to be casting spells. All right. Swap. Whoops. Wait, no, don't swap. I have to save. Okay, we're going to cast spells. Boom. Save. And then refresh. Boom. Swap. Okay. No need to endanger yourself unnecessarily, you think. You start focusing on flinging fireballs at the orcs. Maybe it's the unstableness of the wagon as it runs over the uneven land. Maybe the orcs are much better pig riders than you thought. Maybe you're just out of practice, or maybe it's a combination of all three factors. But whatever the reason, you don't actually hit many of them. It doesn't take long before the orcs return fire with their bows. You immediately cast a personal shield to prevent being shot to death. Jennifer, on the other hand, isn't quite as lucky as she is caught by several arrows. Her face is one of shock as she stares at the arrow shafts now inside her body, puncturing vital organs. She begins to fall, but in doing so, she grabs onto your arm. Perhaps in some sort of last attempt of begging for someone to help her. This catches you off guard, and your arm is pulled away from your next spell gesture. Before you can pull away from her death grip, orcs on the other side of the wagon have unleashed their own volley of arrows, and since you're distracted, you don't manage to put up a spell shield in time. Your chat is like, no! You're relatively lucky in that you only catch 3 arrows in the back. A grievous wound that probably would kill most, but under the right circumstances, you pulled through. Unfortunately, after getting with 3 arrows in the back and already slightly off by your footing when Jennifer grabbed you, you lose complete balance due to the wagon over the bumpy land. Doesn't help that the arrows also hit the horses and collapse from their wounds, which all results in you getting thrown down to the ground and smacking your head on a rock, with the wagon suddenly abruptly stops. Again, though, even with something as bad as this, you probably pull through if you had time to heal yourself through magic. The problem is that you don't have that luxury, and after you finally manage to shake off the cobwebs of your head wound, you look up just in time to see one of the orcs boars galloping towards you, and then over you. A hoof crushes your skull and then breaks the rest of your bones. Your body, broken and bloody, is eventually stripped clean by the orcs and left to rot in the wastelands. Your return was short and ignoble one. Chat, you got to take it out. Oops. Okay, let's continue. We're gonna get on the horses. We're gonna pretend we're gonna undo time. You got us murdered, chat. Wrong choice. Bruh. We died. No need to endanger yourself unnecessarily. Wait. Refresh. Wait. Oh, I didn't save. That's why. Come on. While it's entirely possible that you'd come out of this thing alive, you've certainly been through worse. There's little guarantee that anyone else will, and if you're going to keep your rescuers alive, you need to be unhindered. What are you doing? Jennifer asks as you leap on a horse. I'm getting off this thing, and I'd suggest if you don't want to be a big target, you do too. There's another horse here. Jump on it and we'll unhitch the wagon. Sensing that you're going to do this whether she likes it or not, she realizes that she doesn't really have a choice. She jumps on a horse, and you take your sword and cut the harness. You tell Jennifer that she should order everyone else to concentrate their gunfire to the left. Where are you going now? I'm going to take care of the ones on the right, you shout and ride in their direction. The orcs are so agitated about you heading directly towards them, they practically stop focusing on the caravan and begin firing arrows at you. Of course, you anticipated such a thing and cast a shield to protect you and your horse. With your other hand, you spray a cone of cold on the orcs closest to you, freezing them quite literally in their tracks. This feat of magic is enough to cause the orcs to attempt to rear up their boars and change direction back towards the attacking the caravan. Others are undeterred and continue to head towards you with three large weapons in hand. You aim your next spell at the boars, which consist of a couple of fire blasts. The pigs go up in a blaze, and soon so do their riders, who end up dropping their weapons in an attempt to beat out the flames. You turn your attention at the orcs who decided to attack the caravan instead. At first glance, the expedition crews have held their own fairly well, considering none of them seem to be warriors, and they seem to have fended off most of the orcs on the left side. However, you see orcs getting the best of a couple of them when they close the gap, beginning to jump onto the wagons. You ride back to the caravan and put your own combat skills to good use. Orcs may be fierce and unrelenting fighters sometimes, but without the heavy armor that you remember they used to wear for the Empire, they get killed as easily as anyone else if you're skilled enough, and you're more than skilled enough. As you battle the orcs, the remaining expedition crew tries to help, though you're nearly shot a couple of times in the process. My goodness! You end up yelling at them to stop helping you before you start firing at them with something a lot more accurate. Soon, after you've killed your last orc, after hopping from wagon to wagon, you hear Jennifer shouts to everyone that you've won, and the rest have rode off. The caravan stops for a moment and takes time to clean up the dead bodies on the wagons and gather up any equipment that fell off during the fight. Hi. Oh, you gotta head out. Bye, Diamond Heart. Bye. Jennifer comes up to you as you're cleaning off your own sword. Well, that wasn't exciting to see your real Eternal in action. I knew we were going to be safe with you. We're gonna pretend we didn't die. That was exciting to see. Oh. Yeah, well, I almost wasn't safe with your people because I nearly got shot a couple of times. Yeah, sorry about that. Fear of the orcs actually on the wagons was probably causing higher nervousness than usual. You should get some soldiers on these trips. Then at least you'd have some people who actually know how to fight when things get a little close. We do have soldiers. Can't you tell by the uniforms? Honestly, you haven't really paid much attention to the fact that several of the people in this expedition crew do have similar outfits. It's just regular clothing though. None of it is proper armor, light or heavy. You also notice how the firearms are much different too. Namely, they can fire multiple shots before being reloaded. A very handy improvement indeed. You realize that time has definitely marched on. It would seem that shooting someone with a rifle or a pistol is the order of the day. Wait a minute, what happened to the dwarf who was making the Eternals program with the children, with the tanks? That's a problem. Not much use for the old armor, if that's indeed the case. Still, if you're also reminded of the Falcons and their over-reliance on such weapons, it would seem the Nayland Republic has the same technological disease, and these people are supposed to be successors of the Empire. Guns, you say, shaking your head. What's wrong with guns? You don't think they're honorable or something? Jennifer asks. No, I believe they're very useful, and it would be foolish not to employ such weapons of fantastical destruction during battle and war. I just have a problem with the reliance on them in the place of natural combat skill, because one day you're going to run out of bullets, and then you'll see who the real soldier is. How is using a gun any different from casting down lightning from your fingers or throwing fireballs around? It isn't in the scheme of things. I just said I don't have a problem with gunpowder weapons. However, you also noticed I didn't just toss around magic like I had unlimited energy either. I used it when it was needed and engaged in close combat for the rest of them. I could have easily just rained down a firestorm and wiped out all of the orcs, but that would have taken out the caravan too, something I'm sure nobody wanted. The Empire used firearms and magic during the Falcon War, but individually, the soldiers were still some of the toughest warriors you'd ever want to face. The Falcons soon learned that fatal fact. Perhaps if their soldiers still had the formidable close combat skills of an Empire soldier, they might not have lost so many battles when physical prowess was needed. Jennifer doesn't debate your views or experience. She just thanks you again for your help, and you're soon underway. The rest of the journey is relatively silent. Eventually you arrive in the Nayland Republic. The landscape here is more like you remember, though it isn't until you get towards the capital of Dolt that you start to see a resemblance to civilization. But even that's different from when it comes to architecture and such. You get a few stares from passing civilians. Jennifer and you disembark from the wagons when you arrive at Quintus's house, or rather his very large mansion, which has guards posted at the gates. Honestly, it's the closest thing resembling the Empire you've seen since you got here. You wait here, I'll have to speak with Quintus about all this first. While I'm sure he'd really want to see you, there is protocol to follow. Sure, do whatever you have to. I'm not going anywhere. But who is this Quintus anyway? Quintus Arlesius is one of the most influential leaders in the Senate, and as I've already mentioned, an admirer of old Empire history, but he'll tell you more when you meet him. As Jennifer walks through the gates, you're left standing around with a few guards who give you the stares that you've come to expect from everyone. You wait for about 10 minutes before you begin to wonder why you're even entertaining this again. Then you remember, it's because you don't have much else to do right now. Though you're wondering what place you're going to have in this new world, you imagine that maybe you could be a soldier again, though it doesn't look like there's a war going on. Doesn't even look like this place is suffering from any of the discontent of the citizens. But then looks can be deceiving. Jennifer eventually comes back to the front gate and waves to come with her. You can come in now. Quintus is very excited to see you. At this point, this Quintus better be just as impressive, because from what little you know of this guy, you're not exactly as excited to see him. You and Jennifer walk into the mansion, and while it's certainly fancy and has a design similar to the Empire's architecture, it isn't nearly as extraordinary as the first time you saw the Emperor's palace. Of course, you're a harder sell from those old days. Jennifer and you enter what is apparently a conference room. She says that as he shouldn't be too long, and you both take a seat at the table. Soon, a middle-aged man walks in the room with some guards, but he dismisses them at the door so that the three of you can be alone. He dresses in older style suit that looks more like those you remember the Empire bureaucrats wearing, and carries a staff of some sort with him. He also wears several rings. You sense they all might be magical. Either way, you fail to be impressed, just as you suspected you would be. Quintus, on the other hand, now that he sees you in person, he's very impressed. I never believed in all these years, all the digging, all the research, everything, and none of what I found compares to this. Yes, this is indeed a glorious day, a real-life eternal. Not just any eternal either, but the one who served the Emperor himself, Quintus exclaims as he sits down across from you. Now, let me stop you right there. I know you're all excited and shit, but for me, this is going into unknown territory, possibly even enemy territory. I have no idea what exactly you want from me. I'm going to tell you right now, though, if you're thinking of putting me in some sort of museum or some weird aristocratic version of a sideshow like they have in the fair peasants go to, or you better get that idea out of your head right now. Jennifer tries to temper your words, but Quintus raises his hands as if no offense was taken. It's all right. Our eternal friend is quite right to be suspicious of me, but I can honestly tell him that there is no reason for him to be, because I think my goals will fit his honorable ideals. I'm still sure there is much he wants to know and questions that he has, but I will say that it is my hope that he and I will change history together. Uh-oh, I suspect a plot. Quintus and Jennifer try to get you fully up to speed on everything first. Okay, some backstory. Let's start off with the Cataclysm. I was not expecting a time skip. My goodness, my throat. I should hydrate. Time to bring back the Empire. Yeah. One of the first questions you ask is to be caught up to speed with whatever the current situation is on the land. Jennifer fills you in on most of the topic through though Quintus interjects when it comes to more political matters on the subject. Jennifer starts off by stating the cataclysm that destroyed the Empire not only led to a dark age, but as you might have been able to tell, it changed the very landscape. Kuala, which was one of the heartland of the Empire, is now a wasteland. She mentions that besides the numerous orc tribes that live there, the place is also home for outlaw types. Quintus remarks that the Nalan Republic has made a bit of an attempt to tame the southernmost portion of it along the borders and says that he would like it to do more, but then complains that his hands are tied due to pacifistic fools in the Senate. Jennifer tells you Delurg got it even worse than Kuala, as most of the land just fell into the ocean. Delurg consists little more as an archipelago, though a small portion of it is still attached to the mainland. She says there are rumors of horrors that were awakened and now dwell on several of the islands, but the main danger is that the place is now a haven for pirates. Quintus remarks that the Nalan Navy has problems dealing with them on their eastern coast. Again, he'd like to do more about it, but once again, most of the Senate claims that it isn't in the budget and is thinking about dismantling the Navy altogether. When you ask about Rask, Jennifer states that there isn't too much to tell other than the wilderness has reclaimed most of it. She says that all that's known is that it's now infested with orcs, ogres, giants, and worse. There are rumors of a warriors guild of some sort, but she can't imagine that they'd be sane living in such a hostile environment. Quintus doesn't have much to add other than he's sent a few adventure types up there to explore, but none of them have come back alive. He'd like to send a full expedition up there, but he barely gets approval from the Senate about the ones he's sent digging up the Kuala Badlands. You're sensing a pattern here. Hydration redeem. Thank you, Hector. Hector is always caring. Yeah, hydration. Good. Jennifer next moves onto the more civilized areas of what was once the old empire. She uses the term loosely though. Arat is fairly lawless, though it currently consists of 6 city-states which supposedly have an agreement of mutual protection, the Arat Alliance, but in practice they're all out for themselves, or at very least concerned with their own problems. In some cases that means attempting to gain control over the rest. Particularly Lene, which is the most powerful of the cities, is run by Svelk. Uh-oh. You interrupt Jennifer. Excuse me? Svelk? They finally managed to settle down? Oh yes, for quite some time, for quite a while now. Sovereign Endolith has been running for it. Wait, Eldolith? You interrupt again. Yes, do you know her? We were acquainted. She was only a mercenary captain when I knew her. Oh god, Semra's daughter. I forgot about that. Oh no. Semra's daughter is now the leader of the Svelk? Interesting. Well, she's come a long way from a simple leader of mercenaries. She is currently ruling Lene unopposed and has influence over those weak-willed idiots and Atinil and the criminal-dominant Valizia. Quintus interjects. As you might expect, the Svelk treat the non-Svelk a little better than slaves, if they aren't already. Quintus goes on to tell you that he's been warning the Senate that having a strong, unified Svelk-dominated power nearby would not be a good thing. But as usual, his warnings are mostly going unheard. He says that at very least, there should be steps to support more independence among the cities, if only to keep Edolith from gaining more power. He says one of the cities, Regnik, is fairly friendly towards the Republic and basically the most reliable source of information on what's going on in the region. Tellus is the most isolationist of the bunch, but at least it isn't under the influence of Edolith. Not much is known about it, save that it seems to be very well defended. The last city, Zo, though Zo is currently in such dire straits that 6 cities may soon become known as the 5 cities, Zo constantly suffers attacks from orcs. How it remains standing is certainly a testament to the citizens' resolve, but if the frequency of attacks keep going the way they are, it won't matter how stalwart the citizens are. Jennifer finally comes to what the newest edition of the Empire during your time, and territory consisting of the Falcon Kingdom. Jennifer says that it most likely consists of small hamlets and even a few towns, but none of them are united like a nation, or even big as one of the 6 cities of Arat. There is one small nation, though, that calls itself the Red Cap Kingdom. The Red Cap Kingdom is a small nation of militant gnomes. The only gnomes live within its borders, and they are fiercely independent and hostile to anyone who isn't a gnome. They are extremely well defended too, and probably the most technologically advanced. They call themselves the Red Caps due to being so merciless in battle that they supposedly dip their hats in the blood of their fallen enemies. Bloodthirsty gnomes. Now I've heard everything, you say, nearly laughing. Well, considering all that happened to them, I can't say I blame them for abandoning their pacifism. Always knew we didn't get rid of all of them. Surprised they came back to the area, though. Jennifer is a bit confused by your statement, obviously not really knowing the whole story, though Quintus seems a little more up on the topic. My dear Miss Mole, during the time of the Empire, the Falcon Kingdom was secretly run by gnomes who did everything in their power to destroy the Empire. Gnomes, as you might imagine, were specifically targeted to ensure the safety of the Empire. Quintus explains this to Jennifer. Yeah, something like that. Though to be quite honest, I believe the Empire really hated gnomes, the Emperor. He explained his reasons, but I always thought there might be another deeper personal motive. In any case, never did learn it, and I didn't need to. His will was mine, and I followed orders, you remark. This causes an outburst by Quintus, who bangs his fist on the table, startling Jennifer. You see that, Miss Mole? Utter dedication. A ruler gave orders and his soldiers carried them out. This is why I wish the old empire still existed. Shit got done back in those days. Considering how much Quintus bitches about the Senate, he's certainly right about the empire getting shit done. Jennifer continues. Well, the gnomes have re-entered the area due to being on the run from the other new nation that has reportedly arrived here in the area, the G Hive. Now, who the hell are they, you ask? A great danger if sources are even only half correct, Quintus interjects, and a perfect reason for the Senate to get their shit together, but will they listen? No, of course not. I just get accusations of being a warmonger, troublemaker, when in fact I'm trying to save all of their ungrateful asses. Quintus shouts, causing you and Jennifer to stare at him. Quintus hasn't really told you what his goals are yet, and what role you might play in them, but you can already make a good guess at what one of them might be. Yeah. Sorry, but please continue explaining what the G Hive to our guest, Miss Mole, Quintus says. So, the G Hive is apparently ruled by a race of insectoid creatures, most ant-like in nature. They probably even directed by a queen. They don't really have any proper settlements. We think they might be primarily subterranean, but that doesn't stop them from attacking the humble villages that are on the surface. They don't leave anyone alive and take survivors as captors, presumably underground, where I can only guess they might eat them or enslave them. They haven't attacked any of the major powers yet, like the Red Cat Kingdom or one of the 6 cities, but they have been slowly moving east, so it's only a matter of time. You sit there taking all of this in, orcs running amok, a new gnome nation, united Svelk, and people, and you haven't even heard the whole sad story on the Nayland Republic yet. Tell me something, is there anything that didn't go to frickin' hell when the Empire fell, you ask? Quintus and Jennifer aren't sure how to respond. They think for a moment, then Quintus thinks back to something. Before the Cataclysm, the Empire was in the process with wiping up Gnoll rabble on the western border, wasn't it? Yes. Well, they must have never recovered from it, because there hasn't been a Gnoll seen in nearly 5 centuries. Gee, well, thank the Emperor for small victories, you say, shaking your head with your hand in your forehead. Okay, the other one was the Nayland Republic. Here we go. Save. Yes, and refresh. One of the first questions you ask is to be caught up to speed on what the current situation is on the land. Jennifer fills you in on most of the topic, though Quintus interjects when it comes to more political matters on the subject. Wait, didn't I read this? Yeah, just a second. Save, 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 and refresh. For some reason that was strange. The Nayland Republic? Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. Now it's working. After hearing about the terrible state of the rest of the former empire is in, you ask about the land that managed to somewhat keep it together thanks to Brenda. Jennifer says that the cataclysm did hit Nayland, but it didn't change the landscape so much of it as it changed the weather patterns. For the longest time, Nayland was about as wet as Delurge was before most of the place just submerged underwater. It got so rainy that the Ushaka Desert actually started receding. After 100 years of this, Nayland's territory grew just due to the weather as the Ushaka nomads retreated deeper into their desert and border raids became non-existent. Meanwhile, Nayland continued to slowly evolve. After Brenda's death, her second-in-command, Tarna, took power. She ruled much in the same way. Brenda did, She ruled as much in the same way Brenda did, but not as wisely. She was considered far too authoritarian and to an unreasonable degree, and she did not have the charisma or respect to pull it off. There were even accusations that she had Brenda assassinated. Whatever the case, after a few decades of her rule, the general public had had enough of her. There was a rebellion, and she was violently disposed. At first, an attempt to rule Nayland Dominion by a small council of leaders. This worked for a while, but there were still problems with this. In time, it was decided that the people wanted to be an even better represented. It was around this time that the beginnings of the Republic were truly born. The Republic in its current form has lasted about 2 centuries, with alterations in certain procedures and laws here and there. During that time, slavery has been completely done away with, and there is trade with some of the more reasonable city-states in Arid. There is also trade with the recently re-emerged Ushaka nomads, who have apparently formed their own new government of sorts, called the Ushaka Emirates. Population here is mostly human, though there are elves here and there. In fact, it's about the only area where they're treated as full equals now. While kobolds were assimilated even during Brenda's time, they're still not entirely accepted by everyone, despite most of them being productive members of society. There are even a few Ushaka who have set up permanent shops and live within the Republic. These oddities mostly live on the desert borders and are viewed with suspicion, even if there is peace with their people now. Quintus in particular believes that they should go back to their desert and doesn't like the idea of them being improper members of a republic, since they don't adopt the language or customs. Look, I don't have any problem with the Sand Savages on a personal level. I'm just saying that if they want to live in the Republic, they should learn the language and adopt our culture. Even the kobolds make an effort. Of course, most of those fat bastards in the Senate are just concerned about maintaining good relations with the Ushaka Emirates so they can line their pockets with the coin made from the trade kickbacks. Not to mention all the drugs they allow to go through, says Quintus. Drugs, you ask? Oh yes, you haven't been here long enough to see it, but despite the Republic's veneer of peace, there lies a very serious drug problem. The Sand Savages trade more than their crystal trinkets or cloth. They deal in a drug known as Sandman, and make it out of a type of lizard creature that only exists in that desert of theirs. A basilisk, I believe. It puts people into a sleep state to the point of near paralysis. I mean, it's almost impossible to wake them up once they're under the influence. I guess it gives people really intense dreams that most really enjoy, because a lot of people get addicted. Of course, a lot don't wake up either. It's a major problem, yet it's not the only instance of the Senate turning a blind eye to illegal substances coming into the country. What else do the Ashaka bring in? Oh, it isn't just the Sand Savages. It's also the pirates and the smugglers from the Delurg Islands. Besides, attacking our pathetic excuse for a navy, they sneak in that foul brew that makes people go blind. I have no idea why people even want the damn stuff when we have our own superior alcoholic beverages right here. It's this kind of moral degeneracy and apathy that's going to lead to our demise if we don't start doing something about it. Can't the military do something about this? Or maybe a police force, you ask? Ha! Jennifer told me of your opinion on our military. You're absolutely right. Most of them are not up to the task. They're not disciplined like they should be, and they certainly don't have the most intensive training. I've read about how the Empire used to train its average ground troops. Our soldiers wouldn't last one day in that form of basic training. As for the police force, we do have the peacekeepers, but they're even less effective than the military, mainly because they have the limits on what they're allowed to do to citizens. Even if said citizens are behaving in a suspicious manner, they can't do anything unless they're already slit the throat of some old woman for coin, so they can't buy more Sandman. You can certainly understand Quintus's frustration. The Empire had its share of problems, but maintaining order over plebs wasn't one of them. The Senate is made up of a bunch of corrupt plutocrats who aren't interested in making Nayland better. As I said, most of them are only in it for the money. Others are just weak-willed and go along with the crowd. A few are genuinely dangerous idealistic fools who want to introduce even more liberty among the populace. Can you believe that? This place needs more order, not less. You knew this republic concept sounded terrible when Jennifer first explained it to you. Looks like you were right. We've become lax and complacent. The orcs in the Kuala Badlands are only going to grow in numbers. How long before their numbers become too unmanageable? How long before Ushaka decides to backstab us while we allow them to infiltrate our borders? How long before the Svelk unite the 6 cities and become a power to be feared? How long before the G-Hive consume us all? Quintus continues ranting, and you get the impression he's given a similar speech to the Senate on many occasions. We should be growing stronger by expanding. Instead, we're just rotting on the inside. Even our research in new technology has become stagnant. The gnomes are ahead of us in this way, and if the rumors are true, so is the city-state of Tellus. What about magic power, you ask? Well, even ever since the Cataclysm, magic isn't very common anywhere anymore. In fact, as far as we know, the only place that does have it is the city-state of Linnae, and even then, the Svelk only have it to a limited degree. If it weren't for me, we wouldn't have anything at all. I've been funding all these expeditions in the hopes of unearthing powerful magical weapons of the old empire. But other than a few personal rings you see me wearing, this stuff and a few other things I have locked away. I haven't had much luck. I've even been trying getting a magical school started in the hopes that perhaps there are some latent mages or perhaps a hedge wizard out there. but the idea was dismissed as a waste of public funds. Wow, so the cataclysm wiped out the magic in the world? Damn. Quintus goes on about, well, not wiped it out, but severely limited it. Quintus goes on about the failings of the Republic for quite some time, but it is all sort of boring to you. The Republic is a weak, insufficient state that coddles its citizens and is run by corrupt fools. You got it the first time. Jennifer told you Quintus was influential, but so far, all you've heard is a lot of his failures to get things accomplished. You certainly hope he's got a better plan of action than just whining. Uh-oh. I see where this is going. Just a moment. Get back to the story. All right. Time passes. Save, and refresh. After sitting here for about an hour or so, listening to the sorry state of the Republic is in, let alone the rest of the area that used to be part of the old empire, you've had enough of it all. Stop. I've heard enough of your wretched country. I can already tell what you want. You want the empire back. Yes, I want to resurrect the empire, Quintus exclaims. That's a lovely thought, but sorry to tell you this, it's dead, long buried and resigned to the trash heap of history, you remark. This comment is definitely not what Quintus expected. Jennifer, on the other hand, isn't quite surprised. You'd say such a thing given your own cynical remarks to her. But you're here now, a symbol of the old ways, proof of honor, proof of strength, proof of power. You're an eternal. And I obviously couldn't prevent the destruction of the empire. Am I supposed to just resurrect it with my mere presence? Am I to just kill the entire Senate and establish perhaps you as an emperor? Do you think the people would accept that? Well, maybe not so direct, Quintus remarks, pushing his 2 index fingers together, saying, I want to be the emperor, but not so direct. He's like, that doesn't sound so bad when you put it that way. Please make me the emperor. No, because that might be the only way to get things done around here. And what makes you think that you'd even be good as an emperor? You do not even have the support of the people. I do have the support of my constituents. I even have a few allies in the Senate, Quintus protests. Well, you still don't have enough for what you desire. I'd say that I'd have a better chance of being accepted as an emperor before you would, just due to the fear factor and raw power. I'd still have to be looking over my shoulder constantly before finally got to run out by a complete rebellion, or I'd destroy so much of Nayland in the process of maintaining order. Given what you've told me of the average citizen, it sounds like they're perfectly happy with the way things are, happy with their hedonistic freedom. Do you really think they're going to listen to the relic of a time when the strong just ruled over the weak, and the weak not only accepted it as their way of life, but some were even happy about it? The sheep have been let out of their pens and do not wish to return. Do you believe your people, even those that apparently keep voting for you to represent them, are ready to accept a more restrictive and harsher culture? Do you believe you can foster such an environment? Quintus remains silent, and you throw up your hands at his inability to answer. Lol, yeah. Well, you see my problem with your plan? You probably thought when you dug me up, you'd have a powerful tool that would be your key to reforming a parody of the old empire. And it would be a parody because even if you were successful, it would never be the old empire. You can read all the lore and books you want about the old days, and nothing is stopping you from holding fantasies about such days. But make no mistake, those good old days aren't ever coming back. You're about 500 years too late. I haven't even been awake for one complete day yet, and even I've come to accept that hard truth. But then, I've had to accept so many hard truths. This is just another one to me. Quintus nods solemnly. The spark that was in him is gone, but you can tell he isn't completely defeated. Jennifer just tries to look away from both you and both of you and shuffle some of the papers she has with her. You aren't how I expected you to be, Quintus says. Nobody ever is. Another hard truth I learned a long time ago, you answer. Well, I seem to be at a loss of what to say, which is rare considering I often complain that I never shut up in the Senate. Look, Quintus, I won't deny that your ideals and goals aren't admirable ones. However, I had to drag you back to reality. You still have a long way to go before even bringing something resembling the Empire back. As much as it might be fun to send me to just kill the Senate with a firestorm and then establish martial law across the land, it's not going to be that simple. At least not yet. Yeah, I suppose you're right. It's just I've read about some of your deeds. Scraps of parchment, really. I guess when I found out you were alive and in my house, I just figured that all of my country's problems were solved. Well, they may still be eventually. Now, despite what I've said, I will help you. Because personally, I'd like to see you succeed. If only so I could live in a place that didn't seem so damn strange. And it's not like I have anywhere else to go. So you're going to help bring back the Empire? Well, something like it anyway. I can't promise anything, but I'll try. Now then, with me on your side, you shouldn't worry about the military side of things. I can take care of those matters when they arise, and they most certainly will. You're going to have to take the lead on the political matters, obviously, but I can still advise you in this capacity. All my years of working side by side with the Emperor contributed to such skills despite being on the battlefield most of the time. Welcome to the final stretch! Yeah! Quintus seems to have that spark of life again when you agree to help him after all. He happily asks where you should get started. Jennifer at this point is glad to also see things have worked out and says she should leave you two alone to talk more and gets back to the dig site. Before she leaves, Quintus calls out to her to thank her. And tell your father he has my thanks as well. If it weren't for you two, we would not be in a better position we are now. Expect a bonus pay in this next week. Expect a bonus in pay this week, Quintus says. Thank you, Senator. I don't know why I keep skipping words today. Thank you, Senator. I was wondering though, and I hate to ask, but it just came to me. Do you think our new friend here could back up to the dig site when he has the time? It's just that he was buried alive there and might be of great help if he could at least perhaps give us a good indication on where it might be beneficial to dig. Well, we have lots to go over first, but afterwards, if he wants, I have no objection. It doesn't take you long to agree. You briefly remarked that where they were digging was near the Empire's main chambers, and you'd like to see if anything survived yourself. This new revelation causes a bit of an excitement from Jennifer, and Quintus was wondering what the other magical treasures that might be of use in the coming days of change, or even some scripts of history that could enlighten them on such glorious days. You just wonder if you can find the remains of Semra. Call it curiosity, call it a sense of closure. The first thing you and Quintus talk about is the military. You explain that it is of vital importance to get them to support him the most, but it's also of great importance to get them to be more vicious warriors. You say you understand that battles are probably fought a little differently nowadays, but the intense training isn't necessarily just to make them expert fighters, but also to instill discipline and hopefully a warrior's mindset. Make it so they want to go to war. They long for it. Quintus says that he does already have some pull with the military, a little more than most find comfortable, but of course it's nowhere near absolute. You're glad since that cuts down a little extra work. You tell him to track down the most spirited and skilled warriors that are in the military and have them gather somewhere secluded just outside the northern borders of Nayland. You say you need to get started on training as soon as possible. You just hope you don't have too many washouts or casualties. You then say you also need to get started on an outside threat. What do you mean? I mean, you need an outside threat that genuinely scares people, makes it so people are more supportive of a strong military, makes it so eventually people prioritize their safety so much they're willing to give up their freedom just to be safe. I mean, I know you've been warning the Senate and the people about all the scary things out there, and you're right, but people don't believe it until it's beating down their door with a battle axe. Yes, but how exactly are you going to do that? Well, you aren't going to do anything except go about your usual business. I, on the other hand, am going to incite one of those threats you've told me about. Obviously, one of the closest ones. The Oshaka immigrants? Quintus asks. Well, maybe in due time, but that's a bit more on the political side. Plus, it's not a large enough threat. And the follow-through of invading the desert is a logistics nightmare that we are nowhere near in the position to carry out at this time. No, I was thinking something much simpler. Something much easier to incite violence in. And a lot easier to get people to fear. Namely the orcs. Oh, you think you can do it? Encouraging an orc to attack isn't a challenge at all. Herding them to attack at the specific direction takes a little more skill, but I can do it. It just takes a little time, and we have to make a balancing act of it. We're going to have to let the orcs win a few major battles in the beginning at least. It won't be pretty, but it'll also serve to purge some of the less skilled soldiers you have around here. Some villages on the border are going to have to burn as well. Villages? Are you sure? The problem with the Nalenites? Too many N's. Nalenites is that they've never really been under a true threat for a very long time. When the people experience the loss of a couple border villages and see the bloody aftermath, trust me, they're going to be begging for more protection. When they see the brutality of what an orc horde can do, they'll be screaming for justice and for us to march into the Koala Badlands to wipe out every last greenskin. The first step to expansion and the first steps to resurrecting the Empire. Quintus understands and says it sounds like a good plan. You and he talk a little more about some of the specifics before he eventually says he has the big day tomorrow of arguing against some silly law that one of his opponents is trying to have passed and needs to get some sleep. He says that you have a bed in one of his spare rooms, and it isn't like the rest of his family is going to complain about you being here. You agree, but say that you intend on heading back to the dig site, like you promised Jennifer tomorrow. And also to get started on the orc situation you spoke of. Quintus remarks that you can take one of his horses and says he hopes to see you within a week's time. The next day you ride off to your destination, and you feel somewhat calmer than you did when you first woke up. You also feel like you're have a worthy purpose now. You know you're going to have a very big task ahead of you to reform the Empire, but at least it gives you something to do. Who knows? You might even be successful. Or you might be instrumental in the downfall of yet another nation. Backstories, voices of the past. Let's have a look. Save. Man, I'm gonna have to change the title of the I'm gonna have to change the title of today's stream. Before you prepare to get some rest for the night, Quintus hands you an old, small, worn book. What's this, you ask? Something I thought you might find interesting. It's the old journal of Matriarch Brenda, the first ruler of Nalen and your fellow Eternal. Quintus answers. When you handle the book, the spine cracks and some of the pages nearly come falling out. Yeah, be careful. As you might imagine, it's very old and sadly missing quite a few pages already. For centuries, nobody even knew she kept one. But this was found about 300 years ago when the builders were tearing down her old home to make room for a new Senate forum. Such a loss, really. Tearing down the home of a woman who did so much for this country. I can tell you one thing. Had I been alive during those days, I would have made every effort to keep that house as an important historical site. So who had this before you? Oh, several people. Mostly collectors that didn't really do anything with it, save really keeping good care of it. For a while, I do believe it was actually lost, but eventually it popped up again and found its way into that museum run by the moles. Finally, through a mutually beneficial deal, I acquired the book from that family. I see. Well, I'm not sure I feel comfortable reading something that was Brenda's private thoughts. Oh? Well, you can just put it on the table over there if you feel that way. Just thought maybe you'd be interested in it. No harm, no harm done. Anyway, good night, Quintus says and leaves the room. You begin to settle down for sleep, but you find that you can't. You're tired, but not sleepy. Probably because you've been sleeping for the past 500 years! You explore the room a bit, but there isn't anything much of interest that's going to keep you occupied. Well, except Brenda's journal. It probably seems silly, but in your mind, Brenda hasn't been dead for centuries. In your mind, the last time you saw her was only a few years ago, and reading her journal would be an invasion of her privacy. However, Brenda has been dead for centuries, and under the circumstances, you can't help but feel a little interested. Apologies, Brenda, but I fear my curiosity has gotten the better of me, you say, and you start flipping through the journal, trying to be careful, as you can, since the last time it nearly fell apart in your hands. Really, it seems like the journal shouldn't even be handled anymore. It's missing more than a few pages, and the writing has faded as well. For all Quintus's claims of respecting the historical items of the old empire, he hasn't even bothered to put the loose pages back in proper order. Still, you manage to make some sense. Make out some of it. One entry in particular stands out for you mainly because you get the best sense of Brenda's frustration on the situation, and then realizing that she has to do something about it. Entry 51. Sometimes I wonder why I even keep this stupid thing. I think I had some real weird idea that someone needed to keep a record of events after the cataclysm. Still don't know what caused it. Nobody does. In another 200 years, is anyone even going to care? Chaos hasn't completely overtaken Nalen, but I need to keep some sort of order. I don't want to use extreme measures, but it's getting to the point where I'm going to have no choice. They aren't bad people. They're just panicking and scared more than anything. It's understandable. I am too. I know who wouldn't be scared. That paragon of eternalhood. The Emperor's weapon of terrible justice. Or whatever it is they used to call him. Can't remember all the nicks and titles he's had. If he were here, he'd probably already be rebuilding the Empire. Alas, I have heard no words of him, or much less word of anything past Kuala, really. It's been months. I can only believe he must be dead, along with millions of others. Warwick too, though I shed no tears for his passing. It was his bumbling that resulted in my husband's death. It would seem that I am the last of the Eternals. It is a strange, sad thing to be the last of something. Everyone looks to me like I'm supposed to solve this problem with a snap of a finger. But I'm just one woman, even if everyone somehow believes I'm this superior being just because I'm an Eternal. I honestly wish I wasn't most of the time. I certainly don't feel any more powerful or smarter because of it, and nowadays I feel like I've got a huge target on my back and have to constantly look over my shoulder because some idiot thinks I'm being a repressive tyrant. People either hate me, fear me, worship me, or a combination of all three. What the hell do these people want? I'm doing the best I freaking can. Not only am I trying to maintain civilization and order in these dark days, I'm also trying to keep some semblance of the Empire alive. We can't just abandon our way of life because of a terrible disaster. Or maybe I'm just holding on to something that I know because I've lost everything else. I just don't know, but doesn't matter. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to make some major changes. I'm not even sure what exactly, but changes are going to be made if only so civilization and order can go, and damned what the people think. History can be the final judge. I just wish Roldan was here. I wish you were all here, you say to yourself, and close the book. Aww. Aww. Okay, picking through the past at the dig site. This is another backstory one. Okay. You spent the past 2 days with Calvin's crew, which have been fumbling about trying to dig up the rest of the Emperor's chambers. So far, they haven't found much of consequence, though. Mostly just a piece of the Emperor's belongings that were made of stone or metal. Like a bed frame, or one of his many work tables. The biggest things were broken pieces of the 2 large statues that stood outside the door, and the half-destroyed door itself. Any books that have been found have mostly been destroyed over the passage of time. Between insects, small subterranean rodents, and centuries of gradual decay, it would seem the Earth has consumed most of the important stuff. While Calvin still appreciates what has been found, he was really hoping to find a treasure trove of magical items. But you told him he wouldn't have much luck anyway. The Emperor himself never really kept that much of it around, probably because, as a powerful wizard himself, he didn't really rely on such things. You, on the other hand, haven't found what you were looking for, and that's the remains of a Svelk. You and Samra were in the immediate area, yet no bones have been found. But then Jacob wasn't too far from the same location, and his bones haven't been found either. You still haven't mentioned to Calvin or Jennifer about knowing the specifics about their ancestor's death. At this point, you can't do much more than lingering. You need to get on with a more important assignment. You decide to make one quick look, though, so you grab a shovel and start digging. Of course, you can't be left alone while doing this. Jennifer decides to come up and bother you in her usual way. You swear the girl insists on trying to hang around you whenever possible. You certainly hope she doesn't have a crush or something, because you don't really have time for such things. Come on, yes you do. You got all the time in the world. Go for it, buddy. Go for it. She's just 530 years younger than you? Hey, you shouldn't... You should... Sorry. That's ridiculous. Okay. Sorry, I broke character there. I've been streaming for 2.5 years, but that's the first time I legitimately broke character with one of my jokes. That's just how ridiculous that was. Okay, back. Hey, you shouldn't be digging haphazardly like that near the support beam. One wrong dig and you could fall into a sinkhole or cause part of the excavation to collapse. You don't want to be buried alive again, do you? Jennifer says. I don't know. I'm still wondering if it wouldn't be better off, you remark. Oh, you don't mean that. I thought you said you and the Quintus had big plans that gave you a sense of purpose now. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I can't ponder if it's worth it or not. Damn it, what am I doing? I'm never going to find anything. I just need to get started on that business I spoke about with Quintus. Wait, what are you looking for anyway? I've noticed you before looking through piles of dirt and turning stones since you got here. All you've told us, perhaps, we could help you. I mean, we do this for a living and all. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Look, if it's personal, you don't need to tell me or anyone else the significance. But if we know what to look for, it could surely help, couldn't it? Maybe we already found it and it's in a pile of our ever-growing objects. Sensing that Jennifer isn't going to let this go, you give in and tell her. I'm looking for bones. 530 rookie numbers facing eternity. Bones? Well, we found a bunch a few feet higher up. No, the bones I'm looking for would be approximately in the same area that you found me. They would be elven in nature, specifically Svelk, if that makes a difference. Dark elven? What was a dark elf doing down here near the Emperor? You know, you still haven't told us anything about how you came to be in your situation. I mean, we've all been wondering if the Emperor was down here during the Cataclysm, though we haven't found any trace of his remains. Now you wish you hadn't told her. Look, just focus on one thing at a time. Now, I'm looking for Svelk bones. Unless you have found anything like that, then we have nothing more to discuss. You snap and start to leave. Okay, no need to snap like that. But you can at least tell me who the Svelk was. Obviously, they must have been important to you, or else you would have not be trying to find the remains. I'm really just trying to help. Well, that's true, and you can't necessarily falter for it. All right, I'll tell you a little bit. The Svelk name was Semra, and believe it or not, she was a top advisor to the Emperor. And since we're on this topic, yes, all of us were down here when the Cataclysm hit. As for the palace was collapsing in on our heads, Semra was the one who put me in that magical little box you all found me in. Basically, she saved my life when certain doom was imminent. This bit of information predictably gets a big reaction out of Jennifer. Wow, I can't believe it. The Emperor had a Svelk advisor? She must have been an outcast from her people. I thought they were only nomadic mercenaries back in those days. They were, but Semra was a bit more ambitious than that. Make no mistake, she was no outcast. She was every bit as ruthless and treacherous as any of her people. Probably more so. She always had an angle. Surprised the Emperor trusted such a creature, but still, she saved your life. A self-sacrificing Svelk? Never thought such a thing existed. The two of you must have been close, surely. Were you friends, or, No, we weren't friends, and don't even suggest we had a romantic affiliation. You say, before she completes that sentence. Our relationship was complex. On Facebook, it's complicated. Let's just say she played a big role in who I am today, and despite whatever the differences I did have with her, I do owe her my life. So it's kind of like paying last respects thing? Something like that. I mean, she was literally the last person I saw before I went into my big sleep. My last moments during the old days were with her, I guess. I felt like seeing her bones would be kind of closure, but I guess it doesn't matter anyway, right? She's not dead. No, I understand. Well, we'll keep an eye out, I guess, for Svelk bones. So you said the Emperor was down here too? Yeah, but before you even ask, there's no point in trying to look for his remains. He disintegrated before my eyes. Weird mom lover enemy. Yeah. Jennifer is in shock. He disintegrated? How? Well, it was the Cataclysm. Hit pretty suddenly and hard. One moment he was there, then he wasn't. Your vague explanation isn't exactly untrue. You're just glad it seems to be sufficient for now. Sheesh, no wonder you didn't want to talk about it. Must have been stressful even for you. I'll have to tell my father about this. He'll be very interested in learning more about this mystery, Jennifer says. I'm sure you will. You know, I'm very surprised he doesn't speak to me more often, given that he's the one in charge of this expedition and has extreme interest in the history aspect. I would imagine he would if your personality was different. You're a bit intimidating, and he still fears you a bit. So as it stands, I think he believes it would be better if I spoke to you. Why? Does he think I'm easily swayed by a pretty face? Oh, he thinks you're a pretty face. Ooh. No, what I was going to say is that I'm a little bit more willing to take risks, like interacting with you, for example. You're more likely to respect someone that's brave and thus open up to them. I love my father, but he's not exactly the bravest of men, though he has his moments. Sounds like someone I used to know, you say, thinking about Jacob, which makes you add a bit more to your story. Before I leave, there are a few other bones you might want to look for while you're down here. Oh, I thought it was just you and Semra. It was in the end, but there was another top advisor to the Emperor here that died shortly before that. Wait, you don't mean Yes, your ancestor Jacob. Though his remains might be a bit crushed, a large falling stone block fell on him. Your news once again renders Jennifer silent for a moment. We always did wonder what happened to him exactly. I mean, it was always assumed he got killed during the cataclysm, but never knew the specifics. Well, at least he didn't suffer long, she remarks. No, it was pretty quick and sudden, just like everything else when the cataclysm hit. Still, if it's any consolation, Jacob had his own moment of bravery before his life ended. He actually saved Samara and I from getting immediately killed during that dark time. He did? Yes. Anyway, as I said, I've got other things to do, so I'll leave you to it. Before you leave, Jennifer thanks you for the information and hopes in time that you'll open up to more information about the past. You don't make any promises, but you know you probably will eventually. You leave the dig site and think about what you originally went there for in the first place. Closure. Since you didn't really get it, you do it yourself. Well, Samara, I don't really know why you saved me. Then again, I didn't understand your twisted obsession for me either. Whether it was genuine love, Svelk psychological torture, or your own personal fricked up mind, or a combination of all three, I'll never know. And I guess now I never will. But for what it's worth, thank you. After you monologue to yourself, you ride off in search of orcs to antagonize. Years pass. Okay. Man, I thought we were near the end. Okay, I can go for a couple more. Refresh. Okay. Year 537. So it's been 2 years now since we dug up. I'm leaving the stream. Bye-bye. Okay, Miku Farmer, thank you so much for going. Yeah, my throat won't last for much longer, so we'll keep going for like maybe 1 or 2 more chapters. Okay. I went hard on the voice acting at the start of the stream because I thought we were near the climactic fight. Not expecting a time jump. Year 537. There's nothing better than when a plan comes together. Your actions of stirring up the orcs has been paying off, and I finally managed to get the public to become in favor of a strong army. And your training has been producing much tougher and disciplined soldiers to create that stronger army. Quintus remarks to you while he sips his wine. Bye-bye, Miku Farmer. Yeah. Hi, Haley. I'm certainly glad you finally found someone more competent than yourself. It makes all of your years of failure totally worth it, Quintus's wife Nayla remarks in a bored tone lying on the couch. Damn! His wife just ripped him a new one! She's already on her second bottle of wine, and that's not even the afternoon yet. While Quintus dismisses his wife's usual emasculating remarks, you wonder why you're here when you could be doing something more important to keep this plan in motion, because it's nowhere near coming together like Quintus seems to think it is. The orcs haven't even made a major attack yet. They've just been harassing a few patrols. But it's just as well, since you're still trying to whip the paltry numbers of spirited soldiers you do have into shape, so that when the orcs do attack, they'll be ready for them. You can't really complain because you're doing something you're familiar with and good at, but the main thing that's been nagging at you is Quintus himself. You don't respect him, and it's starting to become a problem sometimes. It's not anything he's done to you either. He's practically bent over backwards to accommodate you in any way he can. You wonder at first if it's his overly smarmy demeanor with you, which at times seems fake, but that isn't it. Part of that is that he's a politician, and he probably can't help but be that way as some part of his personality. Not to mention you've become quite a good judge of character, and you believe his admiration for you is genuine. Regardless... Oh, hi, yeah. Let me give you a wave. Okay. Regardless of what his wife claims, Quintus is extremely ambitious and a hard worker, which you can appreciate. He's just been hampered by the social and political climate. If he'd been born during the time of the Empire, he would have fit right in. Might even have been one of the Emperor's advisors. Despite all this, you've been developing an increasing lack of respect for the man. Not to the point that you've already planned to kill him or anything, but taking orders from him has got you questioning why. Of course, you know the reasons why, because the Republic is still a pussy-whipped place that has long since abandoned the ideals of people like yourself, and trying to take power like a strong man would ultimately only result in chaos and collapse. Ironically, you'd probably be more at home in one of the city-states in Arret, where they still favor a single ruler. What it comes down to, you think, is Quintus's family. Something about Quintus's lack of admiration from his own family bothers you. If he can't reach the people that are supposed to be closest to him, how the hell can you respect him? Gets harder too when you have to be subjugated to these meetings and see his family walk over him firsthand. They all either criticize him or belittle him, even though he's been trying to make a life better for them. His wife is a slothful alcoholic that has never a word of encouragement for him. She looks much older than she actually is, mainly due to hitting the bottle so much. She's never truly addressed you directly, but her attitude seems apathetic at best. His teenage daughter, Yolanda, is a red-headed trollop that routinely sleeps with the sons of his Senate rivals, and in some cases the rivals themselves. My goodness! And those are the classier encounters. Quintus once complained that if there was a good purpose for her bed hopping, like say for gathering important information on his enemies, it could be acceptable, but she has no higher purpose other than the pleasure of her parts. You try to stay away from her, as her outright sexual advances that she's made towards you in the past is a complication you don't desire or need. Makes Jennifer obvious minor crush on you downright subtle by comparison. Oh, Jennifer is crushing on us! Family drama! Yep. Then there's his younger son, Gello, who is an idiot. Not in the traditional sense, that he does stupid things without thinking them through. No, he is a dyed-in-the-wool, born and bred moron. You imagine that his mother might have drank while she was carrying him, but who knows? Damn! That's brutal! By and large, he's harmless, but extremely annoying. He yells a lot, breaks things, and is generally obnoxious, mainly because he doesn't even have a stable structure to mold him into something at least somewhat useful. You don't understand why he wasn't killed at birth. Such defective babies were usually put to death by the family, or at least sold into slavery so they could be productive to the empire on a minor level. It was a good policy. The only positive thing is he seems to be afraid of you and thus stays away, often screaming his head off and runs away if you're ever in the same room. Jeez. Yeah. That's just Quintus's immediate family. It's not even counting the other in-laws and extended family that basically mooch off of him. For a man that has a ruthless ideals, he's a doormat when it comes to his family. Fortunately for Quintus, he seems to have a lot more luck with the general population and has been getting more support, just like he's been bragging about lately. If you were Quintus, you might crave the respect of strangers as well. Ooh, isn't that a social commentary? Yeah, I'm not going to continue that line of thought. Yeah, I'm not going to get into discussing the status of people who crave attention on Twitter. Okay, Quintus, why am I here? Quintus, why am I here? I'd like to get back to my job, you remark. But that's precisely why you're here, my eternal friend. Your job. Since the army problem is well on its way to being taken care of, I think it's time to move on to our navy. Navy? Yes, you do remember we have one such as it is. I'd like you to have a hand in making it stronger as well. And just how the hell am I supposed to do that? I don't know, you've told me you were a military expert. Just do it the same way you did with our army, I suppose. Stir up the pirates of the Delerg Islands so that they start attacking our coastal towns en masse, and the people demand a stronger navy. Quintus, I'm glad you're excited about the plan, but the first part isn't even ready yet. I don't feel the soldiers are even ready yet. They've been in a few skirmishes, but nothing that's really going to test them. And there's still a matter of the orcs. They riled up, and I have noticed large tribal gatherings as if they're preparing for a large attack against a bigger foe. But by and large, they're still disorganized, and in some cases still attacking one another. But surely you've trained some of the soldiers enough that they can perform these duties in your stead. Delegate responsibility to the more talented ones. I have, but it's a slow process from them to train their fellows as well as I've trained them, and I still wouldn't trust any of them to do what I'm doing with the orcs, or at least not to do it and live. Quite frankly, I need more time with them, and diverting my attention to your navy is just a distraction. But the Senate is going to dismantle it, Quintus exclaims. Oh, will you stop whining in front of the help, Quintus? It is so undignified. Oh, it's the wife. You don't have to try and impress me anyway. Oh, wait, is it the wife? I always knew you weren't a man enough to... Oh, Yep, here we go. I always knew you weren't man enough to help my brother out with his shipyard. If the Senate does dismantle the Navy and his shipyard goes under because of less business, well, he can always live here. It's no big deal, Naila remarks, taking another long swig out of a wine bottle. Oh my goodness. So that's why this politician married her. He married the sister of the naval yard man so he could gain political favor and positions and wealth in business and such. Uh-huh. Quintus has no words. He just throws his hands up and looks at you to help. But what you can do is, short of killing his wife, you're fairly certain he doesn't want that, no matter how much she gives him grief. You suppose you could just do with the naval situation, but the main problem is that you practically no experience in seafaring things. You dare say the average sailor has more experience than you do on such matters. Surely you'd be assisted, but without actual experience, you still have a disadvantage that you don't feel comfortable with. On the other hand, what exactly does a republic need with a powerful navy anyway? As far as you know, they don't have an enemy trying to invade them from the sea, and they don't have contact with a big nautical trading partner. They just send merchant ships to travel along the southern coast to the Ashanka Emirates. If pirates got too out of control, they could just send a large shipment through the desert. Focus on the land military or strengthen the navy? Okay, here we go. Another somewhat significant decision, I think. Where do we focus our energy? Land, army, navy. Start poll. All right. We got a few more minutes. Just speaking about it from a world building sense, did you know that even landlocked countries still have navies? So even if a country itself doesn't have access to its own port, they've still invested in having navies floating out in the sea. Fascinating thought. I'm trying to think of one exactly, but nothing's coming to my mind immediately. But yeah, even landlocked countries develop navies. All right, here we go. The results are unanimous. Land army. Focus on the land army. Save. Save. There we go. And refresh. And swap. Okay, here we go. I think, wait, why is it not changing? Come on. Come on. There we go. You're not going to change the plan just because Quintus is trying to please his drunken wife. If he really wants this to happen, he's going to have to follow your lead. Quintus, the navy isn't important at this time, and we need land strength if we're going to get in anywhere. We need it to fight the orcs. We'll need it to keep the unhappy citizens in line when we finally get rid of this damn republic, and we're going to really need it when we have to expand and annex more territory. Now, I understand you've got a pirate problem, but really, other than trade with the Ashanka, we don't even need to send many ships out anyway, other than a small fishing boats for food. Starting trade caravans directly through the desert, the Ashankas do it all the time. Yeah, because the Sand Savages are used to it. The Merchants Guild is going to pitch a fit. Well, frick, I don't know what to tell you. The merchants are either going to have to tough it out in the desert or risk getting attacked by pirates. Shit's tough all over. Come to think of it, you don't even like the damn Ushanka and want them out of your country anyway. Seems to me you could start working on that policy now that you've been getting a little more on the public's on your side. If all goes well, Nayland won't have to trade with the Ushanka at all in the future. No trade with the Ashanka, no need for merchant ships. No merchant ships, no pirates. Unless they're crazy desperate and start attacking the coastal towns. But that's why we're going to protect against such invasions. Quintus thinks about your proposal for a moment, and of course he sees the wisdom in it. Yes, the funds that are being spent on the Navy can be used for other things. I suppose if I support the Senate majority to dismantle the Navy anyway, I'll look a little more agreeable. I imagine that'll be good too. The question is where all the dispatched sailors are going to do and go. I suppose some will just become fishers. Yes, and if not, well, there's always more room in the army. I'll let you worry about that. I need to get back to it. Quintus bids you goodbye, and you're glad to leave his mansion before you run into his slutty daughter. You're in no mood for her tiresome attempts at seduction right now. Over the next few months, you continue getting Nayland's best into shape and start launching your own raids into known orc territory. You always make sure not to do too much damage, of course, but you're not yielding the results you want. You're not getting orc counter raids or attacks. In fact, you think they've lessened. This is somewhat discouraging because while you're succeeding in creating a stronger army, you're failing in the second part of your plan. You think you might have to do something else. On your way back from a raid, you and your men stop off at Calvin's excavation site to rest. 2 years have passed since you got dug up, and they're still digging through the ruins of the old capital. It's actually impressive how much they've managed to find. Calvin even found a few of the flattered, broken bones of his ancestor Jacob. Never did find Semras, though. Uh-oh, she's still alive. Uh-oh. Oh god, my pay of 5 sour cream chips almost got reduced. I would have been shattered. Calvin and his crew are always glad to have more soldiers around, so you're naturally awarded all the hospitality they have to offer. While you sit yourself pondering your next move of the situation, Jennifer suddenly pops up to speak with you. Oh, I like Jennifer. I see your usual brooding self, Jennifer says, coming up to you. That took a while. Usually when I make stops here, you're here a lot sooner. I was beginning to worry, you remark. Well, you did look worried, but I doubt it was about me hovering around you. So what's wrong this time? Over the years, Jennifer has probably become the closest thing you have to a friend. Aww. Granted, you never had many before in your old life, but you at least had a few people to speak with about your own troubles. So far, Jennifer is about the only one you can feel comfortable with speaking about your own private concerns. It's just the orcs. I thought for sure they'd be attacking en masse by now. An orc horde would be a good thing. If we want Quintus's dream of reviving the Empire, it would be. I guess I'm going to have to redouble my efforts on antagonizing the orcs. Have you ever considered that you're scaring them more than angering them? That seems unlikely. Orcs are nearly immune to fear. Most of them are too stupid, and the rest are too bold. Maybe that was true during your time, but I'm sure you've noticed things have changed. They're orcs, Jennifer. Just how much have they changed? Well, besides the war paint, I mean. Surely you've noticed on your raids and travels that these orcs are still very different than the ones you knew. They're tribal for one, and not just that, they're also superstitious. Tends to come with tribal societies. So, over the centuries, they've probably built up their own tales, taboos and laws based on the ruins of the old empire alone. That's a lot of symbols and icons that they've probably incorporated into their society. Then you pop up, and you're still dressed in your old empire armor, and who knows what stories that might cause. Because of similar symbols and the insignia on them. Think about it. For about 2 years now, you've been mostly acting alone in attacking them. You're shooting lightning and fire from your fingers as if it were nothing, and you've probably slain more of them with your sword than the whole Nalan army ever has with bullets. They probably think you're some immortal warrior spirit of old, Jennifer explains. Well, I was dug up from a kind of grave. Exactly. So, in the scheme of things, the orcs have every reason in the world to fear you, just like most people with a lick of sense do. Heh? You don't fear me. Of course I don't. I'm your friend. Ah, she said. Jennifer says and grabs your hand. You clasp your hand on top of hers. Is this happening? Is it happening? Yes. Yes, you are. It is happening. Well, I guess I need to find out if indeed something special to these orcs or not. What are you going to do? Well, I know the biggest tribe in the Kuala Badlands is the Floggers. Maybe if I can bring them under heel, I can just make them do what I want. I probably should go alone. Hold on. The Floggers are pretty damn big, and we're positioned near Rask, which is a monster haven. You sure you shouldn't have some sort of backup? I know you're a big tough Eternal and all, but maybe you should take some of the soldiers you've been training. Oh, she's worried about us. Nah, I'd be better off doing this myself, you say. Ever the loner, hey? Well, I figured as much. I know it's silly to worry after all you've survived, but just be careful, okay? Jennifer says, and she briefly moves her face closer to yours. But then stops and awkwardly excuses herself. Damn it! Okay, progress, people, progress! You tell your soldiers that they can either stay here or return to their posts, and say you have your own business to take care of. Since they're used to you going off by yourself, they acknowledge your orders, and you think no more of it. Just as you're about to leave, you get a surprise visit from Calvin. Hey, I'm glad I caught you before you left, he says. Calvin, you don't normally want to speak with me. Well, as my daughter has probably no doubt told you, I'm a little afraid of you, but I have one of those infamous brave mole moments. It's actually about my daughter. What about her? You are aware that she's fond of you, right? Yeah, I think she just tried to kiss me, but but stopped herself from doing so. It was sort of uncomfortable. I see. So I trust you do not feel the same way. Oh no, father does not approve. It's the age difference, isn't it? I mean, I can see where he's coming from. 500 years is a bit of a gap. Well, it's not that. It's just, look, it's not my area of expertise, and I've got a lot on my mind right now. Understandable, Calvin remarks. There are also some other things that involve the past that I don't wish to discuss right now. That being said, I can honestly say I enjoy her company. She's the only real friend I have. That's good. That's good. I only bring this up because I know that great change is ever looming, and most likely that change is going to be violent, and no matter how you and Quintus are going about it, I'd like to make sure my daughter is safe. And I figure if she was with you, that safety is guaranteed, along with her happiness, of course. Oh, wait, no, he wants her to be with us now? Don't be so sure of that. I imagine I'll be drawing a lot of fire no matter what happens. Better that she be with a strong shield that draws a lot of fire than with no shield at all. So I'm a shield, am I? You chuckle. Aren't we all before the chaos? Calvin remarks, and tells you to just think about your own feelings towards his daughter. You've never had someone trying to pair you up with their daughter before. Something about it makes you feel a little strange. You decide to get on with your task to intimidate some orcs into submission. At least that's more familiar to you. You make your way north. You haven't had too many run-ins with the Flogger tribe due to their faraway location, but you did ambush a few of their kind a couple of times. You don't know how the survivors have described you, but hopefully it is as Jennifer suggested, and it's with awe. Along the way, you don't encounter much trouble. You get attacked by a few half-mad bandits, but that's about it. Eventually, you know you're coming to the Flogger territory since you see dead bodies of other orcs, humans, and even a few elves and ogres stretched across various wooden frames, with their backs completely flayed of all skin, down to the bone actually. Crows and other scavenger types gnaw at the rotting carcasses. The gruesome sight stretches from the east to the west as far as your eyes can see. You notice two orcs standing lookout on a crude watchtower just behind the wall of bodies. When you get closer, they call out to you and raise their bows. Yeah, approving father. Oi, what you doing here, human? One of them asks. You didn't expect such civility, let alone coherence. I'm here to see your chieftain, you answer. We's got no chieftain. We's stronger than that. We's got shaman. Other tribes jealous. Ha 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 ha. Great. Let me see your shaman. I have something to discuss with him. The two orcs look at you and then whisper to each other a bit. This is all a bit strange. You're fully expecting to get attacked when you arrived. Or failing that, the orcs running away in fear. They haven't done either yet. Yeah, yous look like him. But we need to be sure. Bilge, what was we supposed to ask again? Well, I'll ask the other. Yous forget? Yous an idiot, fat belly. You said yous remember. Me don't know either, Bilge says. Okay, shut up. Me member now. Are you das Eternal Man? Fat belly asks you. Yes, you answer, assuming he means eternal. Okay, yous can true. Shaman Trog been inspecting you. Just keep going straight ahead and as he should be meeting yous. Wait, expecting me? How? You ask. Dreams, visions, something, don't know, he magic. Brain hurt thinking about it. Go away now. There doesn't seem to be much else to do, so you proceed to follow Fat Belly's instructions. You pass through the line of flayed corpses and watchtower, and in the distance you see what looks to be enough simple huts to be considered a village. However, you aren't going to have to walk that far because a single orc dressed in tribal garb stands between you and it. He holds a decorated staff in hand and looks old for an orc. This must be Shaman Trog. You aren't sure what to expect, but you draw your weapon just in case. You here finally. Trog saw that you come, and Trog vision's always right. Well, most of time. You can see into the future, hey? Well then, I suppose you know why I'm here then, you remark. No, Trog no. Cannot predict future, just see that Eternal Man come. The last true remnant of the long-dead empire that enslaved all within shadow. So why are you here? You here to finally kill us all? Well, that's up to you, Trog. I have a proposal. Can't be good if you hear. Very well, Trog shall hear your proposal. You explain to Trog what the situation is, though at first you wonder if he's going to understand. Ooh, this is a long chapter. Just a second, I gotta change this to 24? No, 26 should be fine. Trog shall hear your proposal. You explain to Trog what the situation is, though at first you wonder if he's going to understand all of it. But it would seem he is one of the smart ones. Then again, he is a shaman, so he can't be entirely dim in the first place. Trog see. So it's worse than Trog feared. You seek to make slaves of us all again. No, I just need you to attack the Nailen Republic. Yes, you seek to manipulate us into doing your dirty work. How is that not slavery? Worse, your plan seeks to bring back power that nearly led us all to extinction. Only after centuries we are strong and free now. You know, orcs didn't fare so badly under the Empire. They were some of the best soldiers. They were used as expendable shields for weaker human troops. And how do you know all this? Haha, writings. You think orcs not right, but we do. Maybe just pictures, but we do. We also tell stories. After the Empire fall into Big Bang, orcs of old passed down tales. Tribes founder and my great ancestor, Flog, passed down first stories. We never forget. That's why we orcs know you. You wear the mark of the old days. Not to know how you still alive. Maybe you really eternal. But if we die to die, then we die free, not slow as slaves. You can't believe it. You're arguing with an orc about civil liberties. Still, if he is up on the history as he says, then there's surely mention of one orc in particular, and it might just convince him to change his mind. Captain Grutz did not consider himself to be a slave, you remark, which causes Trog's eyes to widen. You know this War Master? Trog asks. Oh yes, I met him and even gave me a little insight to be a better soldier during my first assignment. I only regret I didn't get to serve with him during the Falcon War. I heard his many significant deeds though. He slew many enemies on the day of his death. The entire story of that day is a glorious tale. Yes, and he was hailed as one of the greatest heroes of the Empire. He did his duty as a soldier of the Empire and had no shame about it. He was no slave, let me tell you. He was a proud soldier who loved that he served the Empire. His only wish was to die a glorious death in service, and he did, because he served the Empire with distinction. Even now, the knowledge of his deeds are still known. Help me bring it back, and your deeds may become well known as his own, possibly even more so. Trog studies you as if to determine if you're just trying to sweet-talk him. He looks tired, though, as if he doesn't really want to fight you, even if you are lying to him. Trog can not completely determine your ultimate intentions eternal. However, Trog senses your words about the War Master to be respectful and truthful. Trog suppose if great War Master Krutz taught you to be a better warrior, then you would not speak lies about him. Very well, Trog shall do what Trog can to help you, but Trog cannot promise what Trog will be able to unite all the tribes in the Kuala Badlands. Don't need them all, just enough to cause a lot of damage. Well, if there's anything we're good at, it's that. Trog suppose a lot of my people are going to die in this process of this scheme. Trog only hope that in the long run we will be better positioned. I promise you that your people will always remember what you have done today. Trog not sure if that good yet, Trog remarks, and shuffles off towards the village in the distance. You guess your work here is done here. Now only time will tell if it'll be successful or not. Good thing we're reinforcing the army. I say you guys made a good vote here. Okay, but my throat is raspy. So I'm going to save here. Save and quit. Let us go to the stage. Let's find somebody to raid. If we got somebody alive to raid. Thank you, everyone. Oh, wait, why am I in the wrong room? I barely use the showroom anymore, to be honest. I just like being with chat. I like keeping you guys close. See, this is much more comfortable. All right, see you next time. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change the title of the stream because, yeah, it seems that we continue. We might have to put a break for the story next week because it's spooky week. I want to play a whole bunch of horror games. So on Thursday, I'm going to be playing Dead Rising with Nick. We're going to continue the zombie shopping mall experience. Friday, we're going to start Mortuary Assistant. Saturday will be Baldur's Gate 3. And then Sunday, I want to do another horror game special. So yeah, Friday is going to be the big spooky scary one, but Sunday I think we might have just a more fun horror. So we shall see. Horror game time. Exactly. All right, let's see who is online. Who's online? Redirect. Ooh, we got lots of people online. Let's raid Gina. Actually, wait, no, Zell's online? Normally Zell is... Wait a minute. No, she's not. Yeah, no, she's doing my trick. She uses the red circle in her stream. That's cheating. Okay, let's raid Gina. We haven't raided Gina. Oh, wait, but Okumi's online too. Ah! Spoiled for choice. Let's raid Gina. We haven't raided Gina in a while. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.